All right, we are live. We are live right now. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kava Club podcast. My name is Will. You guys already know who I am. I'm the host of this show. I'm excited today. I'm very excited today. I have a very special guest. One of our Polynesian sisters from all the way from Utah. I actually found her. She's a little low-key TikTok star, but I actually found her on TikTok. She's a great. She has some great videos, great content on TikTok. I'm very excited today. Very grateful for her to have the opportunity today to come on my show and share her life story. I know a lot of you guys would definitely love to hear her story, but so I'm excited. But I'll let her introduce herself real quick. So, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Loke. My name's Lokelani Toki. I'm originally from Southern California. That's Ontario, California, to be specific. Love y'all. And I now live in Utah. I live in Orem. I'm 21 years old, just turned 21. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really happy that you have me on your show. So yeah, let's go.
All right, let's get it. I'm excited. So, but just real quick, if everybody out there watching this for the very first time, thank you for all the love and support. Thank you for tuning in. Please show some love and support. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And everybody out there watching this and being supporting me, showing me so much love. Thank you for all you guys for the support that actually inspires me and keeps me going. So mad love to all you guys out there. I'm excited for this podcast. I'm ready to hear her life story. And I guess we'll get it started. The very first question I do want to ask you is, how did you grow up?
I had a very interesting childhood, but it's like I feel like some people might be able to relate to it a lot. Growing up, my family, I'm the middle child of 7 kids. So there's 3 above me, 3 below me. I have 3 amazing brothers and 3 amazing sisters. They're awesome. And my parents, my mom is Samoan, my dad is Tongan. So I grew up mixed and everything. We grew up in a very, we moved around a lot. I guess you could say most of my childhood was spent in that hospital life. Growing up, my dad was always in and out of the hospital. So a lot of times we would spend most of our time there. I am also a member of the LDS church. I like my home warden, everything is back in Rancho Cucamonga. So I grew up like both areas there, but it was very different, I guess, like to the Polynesian eye and like to the white eye, but we grew up in most of the time my parents did a lot what they could to put food on the table, put like clothes on us, put a roof over our head. We went to the suburb schools, and like I guess you could say we grew up in suburb areas sometimes.
Yeah.
They were really hard workers. My dad was a yacht worker. He like did his own construction and everything. My mom, she's a teacher, and she is also a real estate agent. So I learned a lot of like communication skills from her and stuff. But they were always busy. Either my mom was either super busy with my dad, taking care of him. She was either too busy with the older 3, or she was super busy with the younger 3. So I kind of just learned to keep to myself. I guess you could say most middle children are like that, like the forgotten child or something like that. But in reality, I think the middle child is more like I choose to be like this. I choose to sit back and observe. With that hospital life, I remember growing up in elementary, everything like that. I would always get asked to like, oh, like, let's go hang out. Like, you can come over to my house, let's do this. And like, or like a group project or something, like we're all going to this person's house. And I would always have to tell them like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. And they'd be like, well, why not? Like, and that led to like me getting bullied for not being able to hang out with them and stuff. And I was like, oh, I can't, I just have other things to do. And they were like, oh, is it like family stuff? I'm like, yeah, it's family stuff. I tried to keep it low key because I know my dad was a super hard worker, fighter, everything like that. But I like to keep my family life away from like my school life, I guess. But my school was also my escape from like family life. Got bullied for like not being able to hang out and stuff, being too dark. I know I'm light now, but I was darker then. I was too dark, like big frizzy hair, everything. And a lot of times that would lead to getting bullied, and then I wouldn't take it too hard because I appreciate all the times, all the birthdays, all the holidays I spent with my dad in the hospital. My younger siblings and I, that we're very close. The four of us, we call ourselves the Fantastic Four. But we were always at the hospital, like before school, after school, spending the night there, just hanging with our dad, because we knew he was really sick. He ended up passing away when I was 12. So that was the shift in my family. That was like the complete, like, whoa, like that was I guess you could say that's when we turned, like our road changed, like our path changed and everything. Our GPS just took us to a whole another direction. Me going into middle school, I was like, it was very weird because, you know, we wore black all year, of course, and everything. And a lot of times kids are picking on me for that. And they were like, she doesn't wear anything, like she's emo, she's goth,
she's emo,
or something like that.
Emo, goth,
then,
you like rock music or something.
I'm like, no, I'm gonna say all that. I love all types of music, so I do like that kind of stuff. But that was like when I think they like looked at me as like, oh, like she's like super like dark. And so that was like one thing I was always like picked on for, I guess, like low key, and like they would make like backhanded compliments and stuff. So like the friends I had weren't real friends, I guess you can say. I do have like good ones, of course. There's always good and the bad. But going into middle school, it was really weird because I started, like, I played volleyball, I played sports all over my life. I was told like, oh, if you want to go to college, you gotta like play sports. That's one of the things that we need to take advantage of, because I was athletic, my whole family's athletic and stuff. And so my mom would always my mom put me in club sports. She put me in volleyball. And so at a young age, I was always I was very competitive, I guess you can say, when it came to that. That was different though, because I was treated differently, I guess, per se, during volleyball, because my mom, even though my mom wanted me to keep going and stuff, she couldn't always afford it. And that's something like my family, we weren't wealthy. We weren't like always put together and stuff. Like every family has their flaws, but my mom couldn't afford sports a lot. So I had to really work hard to like earn sponsorships and stuff, or like have like my coaches really like want to see potential that I had, and like okay, she can go somewhere with this. I'll like take her under my wing. That's what I had to do, like to make sure like I stayed in club sports, because like that kind of was like my safe space. It was where I learned how to take my anger out. It was learned how I, like, if I was feeling like down, like I was always like hitting a ball, something like that. So like just growing middle school, that was like, oh, like I have a tournament this weekend, like can't do anything. I remember it was also the start of a really bad habit of mine. I picked up like doing really bad things at a young age, and I think it was like my acting out area, but it was more so me trying to find myself and just also trying to like fit in, I guess. I started smoking weed at that age. I started drinking at that age. A lot of like my family thinks I started doing it in high school. I started like way younger. And mind you, I'm only like 13. My dad passed away. That was like the weird spot for me. I was like I see, like, was that your way of coping? Was that your way of coping? Yeah, I guess you can say that was my way of coping. There were other ways, like there were healthy ways, of course, like music. I love music. I started learning how to play certain types of instruments on my own and everything, just self-teaching myself all this. But the bad habits got the most of me, and it ended up sticking with me all the way through high school. I'm going to say like the year before high school, like right before my freshman year, I was playing volleyball and stuff, and I was in like a really tough spot mentally. And it was like one of the first few times I actually self-harmed myself. I ended up cutting my wrists, and I like walked into my mom's room to get Band-Aids and stuff, and she like asked me what was wrong and everything. And when she saw like what happened, I think she didn't react the way I guess a parent should react. But of course she knows better now. Like that was when like years ago. So I don't hold that against her at all. I think she just needed to learn. But it was weird because it was like I basically like ruined all my chances in that moment for my future. And I, like that kind of stuck with me and everything. And I was like, oh dang, like I messed up bad. Like I'm a bad kid. Like that was me. But I remember like later that night, she came up to me and like she talked to me and like she was like, what's wrong? Like why would you do that? She was like she was actually like trying to understand what was going on. And I was like, and like I didn't know how to explain it.
So she knew what you did when she saw the bed.
Like I think it was just the moment. In the moment, like she didn't know how to react. And then later on, maybe like she thought about it, recollected herself, and like came and talked to me finally.
Okay.
But that was definitely like when I started to realize I have I was like, there's something wrong like with me. And like my school counselors picked it up, everything. They were like, maybe you should try therapy, blah, blah, this and that. And I just came to the conclusion I have depression. I suffered from depression and really bad anxiety. And it's just like, it was really weird because on the outside, everyone sees this really exciting, go-getting person, like athletic, competitive, all this. And then, but when it's just me on my own, that's like, I am my worst enemy at the end of the day. Like, I was like, oh yeah, like people like you and stuff, like you're doing good. Like, but when I would come home and like be by myself, it was just a whole different story. Or I was just like, oh frick, this is like different. This is weird. My oldest brother, he ended up going to serve his mission. He served in Tongan. And so that was like, oh, like he's gone. Like, it's cool. Like he was usually the strict one. So like, we're good. Like we get to like a little bit of freedom, I guess.
Free.
But even after he came back from while he was on his mission, my older sister, she ended up like moving out and stuff after she graduated high school. And then like for me and my younger siblings, it was kind of like started to see a pattern. It was like, oh, like as soon as like they all get the chance, they just kind of want to leave and stuff, which is like totally understandable. Like like I was like, yeah, I'd probably do the same thing like when I become their age. My second older brother, he did the same thing. He graduated high school, he moved to Hawaii, and he ended up living there, and he ended up leaving to serve his mission and everything as well.
I mean, just add to that, just put it out there for everybody watching. Usually, I mean, if it was any other family, it'd be normal to leave at 18. But usually Polynesian families, we stay longer.
We stay forever.
We stay forever. Yeah. We'll stay forever until we get married.
So it was really weird.
So for Polynesian
like,
family,
I never thought I'd see them leave. It was really, it was different because the life that we all had, we had different childhoods than they did. My younger siblings, we have a completely different childhood than they had. They had a childhood with two parents. And our childhood was solely filled with one parent. It was like that age where like you're really starting to find yourself and grow. That's the age where we lost our dad and everything. And like we like realized like, oh, like he's not gonna make it to like any of those big events for us and stuff like that. So when my brother got the chance and he left, it was kind of just like, I guess, I don't want to say this, but like abandonment is kind of how it felt. And everything.
From your perspective, from how you felt.
From my perspective, and like, I guess I can't speak for my younger siblings, but I guess they would feel the same way. So for me, working through high school, I went through high school and I just didn't care. I didn't give care in the world about anything. I didn't care about like what my grades were. I didn't care about anything. As long as I was playing sports, that's cool, whatever. As long as I had a barely passing GPA, that's all that mattered. Because there was so much going on outside of school that I just didn't care for, like the school life and everything. My original high school, I went to Rancho Cucamonga High School for 2 years. My freshman and sophomore, I think it was awesome. That school was amazing. But I had a boyfriend at like 15, and that boyfriend, like, it ended up being really hard for my family because it was a toxic relationship, but it was also a relationship I refused to leave because I was too focused on like, oh, he's a good guy, like da da da. We fight all the time, but he's a good guy, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He was a bad guy. Like I'm looking back on it, I'm like, what the hell was wrong with me? Like I spent 2.5 years in a relationship with that person, and it was weird.
Yeah.
But it ended up like I ended up losing the trust of like my family, like my mom and my everything. But it was hard because I was still doing all those bad things. I was doing drugs, I was doing drinks, I was drinking, smoking, doing whatever I can to like fuel that little hole in me. And I was sneaking him into my house. And everything. And it was just a growing period, I guess you can say. But when I was in this relationship, I was planning to move to a different high school, the high school that I lived right next to. It was also the high school this boy went to. But I went and I like tried out for the volleyball team. I ended up making varsity there and everything, and it was awesome. I was like, oh, like this is gonna be so cool. First day of school comes, I get in like the car to go to school, and I get driven all the way over to a different school, and I was like, what is happening? It was basically like I lost my mom's trust, and I understand why she did it now. She moved me to her high school, which is Alta Loma. I don't really like that school. Very white school. Not very very white. She worked there for so many years, and she moved me there to keep an eye on me. And I was like, when I got there, I was like, this is so messed up. Like this is so stupid. Like I had a chance at that school, blah blah blah. And she moved me here because she thought I was like gonna be stuck with that boy or whatever. And so then I was like, you know, like whatever, like you can move me here, nothing's gonna change. I ain't gonna like take care of my grades. I ain't gonna do nothing. Like she's like, you're gonna play volleyball here. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Play volleyball there. I played volleyball there, but like I didn't care enough to like actually put effort into it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of times like people were like, oh, she's not good, she doesn't play. I'm like, I don't play because I don't care. Like I really don't care anymore. My grades were horrible. I think like one of my math classes, like I had like 20 missing assignments or something. But that's like, I was like, I just don't care. And I was like, but it was weird because she moved me there to keep an eye on me. But the childhood we had, my relationship with my mom is really complicated. I used to say it's a lot better now. It's much better, healthier. But back then it was really difficult because in a way, when my dad died, a part of my mom kind of died as well. I guess you can say like my dad was basically like her ball and chain. Like they were like always together, always like stuck together basically. So when like he died, a part of her died, and it was just like we saw a different side of my mom that my older siblings didn't see. At least I don't think they did. But my younger siblings and I, we had a mom that was there for us like 24/7, and it went from like her being there 24/7 to her not really being there 24/7. She was always gone. She was always working. And it was really weird because one thing that I know for a fact is kids don't spell love as Love. They spell it as Time, as in time. Time is a really crucial thing. And so for me, my younger siblings, it was always like, oh, where's mom? And they were like, I don't know. I was like, well, how are you getting to school? And they're like, she said she's going to Uber us. I was like, okay, cool. She's going to Uber you. I need a permission slip signed. I was like, okay, I can sign it for you. It was weird because I went from being like this quiet middle child to being the older sister slash parent. It was really weird. It was something I really had to adjust to, and it also heightened a lot of my addictions, I guess you could say, my habits. But a lot of times, like they needed something, I was like, okay, I can help you with it. Like I ended up just making sure that my siblings were okay. My younger siblings were okay. My little brother and my little sisters. I see them as like more than just like my younger siblings. I see them as my best friends, basically, because it's always us four. Like, we know what we've been through, we know what we've gone through, and no one else really understands us more than we understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
But we also fight a lot. All my siblings fight a lot. My little brother, he's gonna be turning 20 this year, but he's like, we're only a year apart, and he's like basically my twin. Seeing him, like, it was really weird because we had weird living situations in high school. So there were 4 of us in high school at one time. I was a senior, my little sisters were freshmen, they're twins, and my brother, he's a junior. We all went to different high schools. And a lot of people would like look at us and they're like, why do you all go to different high schools?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's weird to explain, but I moved because, of course, my mom was keeping an eye on me. My brother, he ended up going to Rancho and graduating from there all 4 years. And he lived with my aunt at the time. And when I went to Rancho, I also lived with her. But he lived there. And then my little sisters, they split up. And it was like the first time they've ever been split up.
Yeah.
So one, she goes to a performing arts school. And the other, she ended up going to Altaloma. She chose to go to Altaloma with me. So, like, my mom has, like, all these kids in, like, different high schools and stuff, different needs, different everything. And so it was definitely weird being apart from them all the time, but at the same time being together. I don't know, sometimes people can relate to that, sometimes people can't, but it's always been weird because we were always together on the weekends. So I barely graduated high school. Like, I literally, when I tell you, people are like, oh, like, you barely passed like your classes. I'm like, no, like, when I tell you I barely passed, like, graduated high school, I mean, I found out I was graduating high school 5 minutes before the ceremony started. So, wow. Yeah. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. I could have been like the first kid to not graduate in my family. That would have been so embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I graduated in sweats, slippers, and a hoodie. And I was like, hey, man, I got my diploma. That's all that matters. That was like really weird, but it kind of just like, dang, I don't want to be a bum like that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But after I graduated, I had a choice. I was like, I could either go to school or I can get a job. And mission wasn't in my mind. At a young age, I told myself, like, oh, I want to serve a mission. Going through high school, I was like, mission's not for me. Mission is definitely not for me.
Yeah.
There was a lot that happened to me in high school that just, I guess, made my mind up. I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be hard. Sorry if you hear a crying baby. That's my nephew.
It's all good.
It was kind of like, for mission wise, I always wanted to serve one, but when I like really like took it to myself, I had a very complicated relationship with the church as well. I ended up like distancing myself from it. I was inactive for a really long time. My family was in general. That was where I kind of just like had to learn to find myself. I was like, do I even believe in Heavenly Father? Do I believe in like this? Because he does so much damage to me. Like, what is this? Like, I'm going through all this, but he's not really helping me. And I realized my relationship with Heavenly Father is my own relationship, not anyone else's. A lot of time, I distance myself from my like home ward and everything. Especially like just because like I lost that trust in I guess you could say my bishop. I think like the one time I ever confided in him, he ended up telling my mom something about it. And
got you.
I came home to my a beating.
Yeah.
Because she didn't agree with the things that I talked about with him and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like that was supposed to be between me and my bishop and him.
Yeah.
Like I was told that at a young age, like
that's
you
how
go
it's
to your
supposed to be
for anything.
Yeah.
Like that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that like triggered like a fight or flight spots in me, and that I chose to fly. Normally I'll fight it, but I flew and I was like, I don't want to be like anywhere near you. Like that's betrayal. I was like totally like hurt, and it drove me to do all the things that I spoke about, like grades, drugs, everything. It drove me to doing all those things 10 times more. And it ended up me seeing like, oh, I don't really believe in Heavenly Father and stuff. Like I was like, I don't really understand like why he does those kinds of things. But growing, I learned that my relationship with him is my own, and that he puts us in certain situations for a reason, and it's to help us, and it's to grow us while we're here. So when I really like prayed about a mission, I was like, nah. I feel like the mission Heavenly Father has for me is to help others through what I do now, like talking, building those uncomfortable situations and stuff. Graduating high school, got a job. I made the decision. I was like, okay, I'll just get a job. Started working at UPS. I worked there for like 2.5 years. And while I was working there, I had this income now. So it was weird because it was like, oh, like rent or something. My mom wanted me to like pay rent or like pay something. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not going to pay rent. I was like, I won't pay rent and stuff. That was just like my mindset. I was like, I'm not going to pay rent and stuff. Like when like most of the time I'm here. So I told her, I was like, I'll pay the electric bill. I'll pay the electric bill. And so I helped her with the electric bill. And then, but me like having this income, I was like, it was so fun because I was like, oh, I can like buy food for my siblings and I could buy like clothes if they need it and stuff. So like my little sisters, they're opposites, complete opposites. But one of them, she's like this super academic little girl and everything. And she was like, hey, I need to pay for like my SAT or something, or like I need something for school. And I was like, oh yeah, no problem. Here you go. The other one, she always needed a new outfit for her performances. She's like, I need to get a new outfit. And I was like, okay, let's go get you a new outfit then. We can do that. My little brother, I like to spoil him with food, or like Christmas time, he'll get a new pair of shoes. That was his thing. But that's how it was. Like my job wasn't like money for me or money to be saved. It was money to like, oh, like, let's go get something for you guys. Let's go get something. Yeah. I was like, I'm okay with that. I was totally okay with that. I was like, I want to be able to take care of them. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, that's all I can do. I did that for a while. That was just how it was. It was like ongoing cycle. Last year, I decided like, oh, I'll start going to school. Like, I'll just like start going to school. And that was at Mount Sac. I went to Mount Sac and everything just for like a semester, and I really loved it and everything. But then, COVID hit, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. Decided to come to Utah for a wedding, my cousin's wedding, and that was like the game changer for me. I was like, just being out here was new, it was different, it was fresh. It wasn't the cycle I had been stuck in for like 2.5 years.
There was no history.
Or like my whole life. And I was like, I got home and I like told my mom, I like talked to my siblings about it first before I even told my mom. I was like, I think I'm gonna move to Utah. And they're like, oh, it's about time. And I was like, what? And they're like, dude, you've been here like too long. Like you've taken care of us long enough. Like that's good. Like you need to live your own life. You're 20 years old. And I was like, okay, that wasn't the response I was expecting. I was kind of hoping you guys would tell me to stay and stuff. I remember telling my mom, I was like, I'm moving to Utah. And she was like, what? Yeah. No, you can't move to Utah. And I was like, yeah, like I decided and everything. Like I already bought my ticket. I leave on Friday. And it was like that. It was a split decision. Yeah. And she was like, she tried the whole week to like convince me not to go. And I told her, like, my honest thing was just like, this is the first step into me becoming the adult I want to be and just the person I want to be, because I feel stuck in everything. I love being here. I love being home. Don't get me wrong, but I feel stuck. I feel like I've been stuck since I was like 12 years old. And that was like just my mindset. And so I was like, I don't want to be stuck anymore. I don't want to be a victim anymore. I don't want to be quiet anymore. I want to go. I want to do my own things. I want to experience life for myself, not live the life off of other people's experiences, because it's like, you've never experienced this. So like, this is how it's supposed to go. And I'm like, oh, that's how I live my life, through others' experiences. And I was like,
what was her
why
reasoning?
Am I doing that?
What was her reasoning for you to stay? What did she say?
I think it wasn't really clear, but I think it was because me leaving meant like, dang, like that's my mom like telling herself like, okay, I can do this. I think that was like, it was a growing thing for both me and her, because I think she was used to it. She was also stuck with me being used to being home. And she was like, okay. And I was like, I was like, it's okay, you got this. Like you can handle them. They're good. And she's like, I don't know. I was like, you can do this, and I know you can. And I like told them, and I was like, me leaving, your life's gonna be a little bit harder and stuff. And I was like, but that was like, I never left because, like I said earlier, that's that feeling of abandonment and everything. When my older siblings, them leaving, living their own lives when they got the chance, that was different. I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want my siblings to feel that any more than we already have. And I was like, okay, so I'll just stay behind. I'll do this. Me like taking that step, I think it was really hard for me because I'm so used to like catering to them, being with them, just like hanging out with them all the time. When I moved here, it was weird because like I would like go to like call for them and I'd be like, wait, they're not here. And that was the hardest part for me, because just being away from them. And they were like, no, like you're good, dude. Like go, like you're good. You've spent your time, like you've done what you can here. Like we're older now. Like we know what's right from wrong. We know how to handle ourselves. That's the most we can like tell you. And I was like, I just had to trust them with that, giving them that trust and everything, knowing that they are going to be okay and that they are in good hands with each other. And that was weird, but it was different. And that's like basically my childhood, I guess you can say. That's my growing up. That's like my entire life so far. And here I am.
Well, I just want to say, thank you for sharing, by the way. Thank you for sharing. I know it takes a lot for everybody who's watching. I always tell people like, because, I guess it's a Polynesian thing, we don't really share or express ourselves. That's part of our culture. We just, we are very prideful people, and in our culture, to share and express your struggles is considered like being vulnerable. It's like seen as weak, being a weak person. So whenever I see people express themselves and talk about their life story, I can just feel your courage. You also give me courage, inspire me. So thank you for sharing your life story. Mad love to you. Just want to hug you right now, but but thank you. But yeah, I do want to talk a couple things. You said a lot of things. You talked about a lot of things in your life. I feel like a lot of people definitely need to hear, and I know a lot of Polynesian, even myself, a lot of things you talked about, your own experiences. It's kind of funny, like you just talk about it. The whole time you were talking about it, when you were talking about certain stuff in your life, like I was just like reliving my own high school years in my mind. I was just reliving my own high school experience in my life. But I do want to, there's a couple of things I do want to talk about. First is, I guess, the first one I do want to talk about is, one thing I do know a lot of people struggle with is when your parents are always busy. Because I know Polynesian parents, especially if your parents are from Tongan, sometimes, they're always working. They're always working. I know a lot of times, based on my own conversation with friends, that when their parents are not home, that can be a struggle sometimes. Because I feel like as kids, because I feel like in the beginning of our life, we're trying to figure out things in life. And then sometimes when our parents are not there to kind of give us like I guess you could say, guide us in certain situations, we're just left to like figure things out. So I guess my first question is, because I feel like a lot of the things that we struggle with as children, as Polynesians, I feel like a lot of it can be solved by building a relationship with our parents, an open relationship where we can communicate. Because I feel like because of the lack of communication, that's what a lot of the mental health struggles that we go through, because when there's no communication, we're just left to judge things as they are, So like, I remember I grew up with my grandma, so I guess that's a Tongan thing. Like when you grow up, we just throw you to the grandma. So
My grandparents lived with me for a while.
yeah.
And
So like
lived
we
with
don't
my
we don't
other
really so we don't
grandpa
really
too.
get raised with our parents.
Yeah.
So I remember there was a time where like I thought my parents didn't care about me, because I grew up with my grandma, and I love, I have a better bond. I have a better parenting relationship with my grandma. I mean, she recently just passed away this year, but I love her to death. But I have a better, I feel her as more of a parent than I ever do with my own parents. So I want to ask you is, but that's one thing I always notice, because there is no communication between us and our parents. A lot of times we're just left to wonder and assume, and just, if your parents are not always never home and never talk to you, then it's natural as a child to think that they don't care, or if they don't show you no affection, because I know that's how our culture is. We don't really show affection that much. Then we're just left to think that we don't care. But at the same time, just putting ourselves in our parents' shoes, they could be working and they could be dealing with their own issues. And sometimes adults, what they use work as their outlet to deal with their depression and their whatever they're going through. So as an adult, they use work to just put themselves into work, and hopefully when they go to work, they forget everything that's going on at home. So that can be one aspect of it. But the thing is, because we don't communicate to understand each other, we're just all left to like assume things, and then usually it's more negative than positive. And so and it's just a constant battle of just like misunderstanding and hate and judging and criticizing each other. So I am interested in your parent. So have you ever one time like ever tried to communicate to your mom or try to express to her what you were going through this whole time? You mentioned a lot of things you were going through. Like, did you try? Did she ever attempt to ask about what was going on? Or there was this like no, even no attempt or anything at all?
It was, there were a few times where like, she was like, I don't know why you act out and stuff. And I was like, I act out because the blah, blah, blah. I was like, this is why I act out and stuff. And it's just, my mom, she's a very understanding person and everything, because she has gone through a lot in her life as well. Like, I don't think I would last a day in my mom's shoes. That's an honest answer.
Of course.
And it's like the same thing. I don't think she would last a day in my shoes as well. It's kind of just goes back and forth. But my mom, she's seen signs. She saw signs and everything of like everything. But
and she reached out, right? She came to you.
She would reach out. She didn't know how to handle it, but she did reach out, because I guess like for like me, like I guess I'm the kid that like no one really would have expected this kind of reaction from. And I guess, and it was really weird for her, I guess. And so that was like something that she did always try on. She did always try to either communicate, whether it was by reaching out or it was by buying me Starbucks.
So how did you respond?
She was just able to do those things. I kind of froze. When she reached out to me, I told her, I was like, my honest reaction was just like that. I was just like, what do I say? Because it's hard to talk about it as a kid, whereas now I can talk about it totally fine. But like as a kid, it was like, I feel like if I tell you, you're either not gonna believe me, or like I'm scared of how you'll see me like moving forward. There's always that fear of like, what if like what if she doesn't like, what if she's disappointed? Like, what if she's more disappointed in me than she already is? What if she gets angry? What if like she hits me or something? Like what if my mom hits me? Poly moms, like they got heavy hands. So that my honest reaction was like, never mind, I'm fine. I was like, I didn't know how to react to it. So I honestly just like told her, I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. And that's kind of just how I went about it with like everyone. Someone asked me like, how are you doing? Like, what's wrong? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm chilling. That was like my response to everything. Still is sometimes.
And I hope, if you're watching this and you are a parent or you are elder, And the reason why I want to bring up that specific experience, because, you know, when it comes to communication, it has to be something you practice, right? And the reason why, and I feel like, because I remember I read on it, but if you make it a habit of make it a habit of communicating with your kids, it becomes normal for them. So when they do reach out to you, because it's something you've taught them your whole life ever since as a kid, it's much normal for them to open up. But if you never do it, and you only do it once in a while, or you only do it if they're struggling or you see something's wrong, then it's not really the kids. I guess it doesn't seem genuine. I guess I'm just trying to find the best way to say it. It's like when somebody never reaches out to you, and I don't know where you just get a random text from somebody they've never talked for a long time, and they're asking you about your life, and it always seems like, okay, what does this person want from me? Like it doesn't seem as genuine as that.
Yeah, I'm like, what do they know? Like, what do you want?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not as genuine as somebody that's checking up on you every day. You know that person that checks up on you every day. Hey, how is everything going? You know, you feel that love from and genuine from that person when they reach out. So, and I just want to talk about that because I feel like that's the key. Because like I know a lot of Polynesian parents, like I know they have expectations to us. To be and then especially for girls, you guys have to be perfect and everything. And plus you're Mormon too. You add religion to it. The pressure is on for all of us. But I do notice that it's something in our household that talking and discussing things doesn't happen as often as it should. And usually, I just from my own experience, whenever I get conversations with my parents, it's either I do something it's always when I do something bad. They never check up on you until they find out something of a mistake, and that's the only time they'll like reach out to you. And then if you're going, especially if you're a kid, if you're going through struggles, and then you realize, oh, that's the only time they come to you, then you don't really, you don't want to open up. Especially, you don't want to open up because, like, well, and plus with all the expectations that's placed upon there, you just don't feel like, and you said, some parents are tough, they have those hands. you add on that dynamic, especially if your parents discipline you every single time you mess up, and the more you mess up, the harder that discipline is. It won't allow kids to open up. So I guess what I want to emphasize and bring out of this discussion is the importance of creating a safe place for your child to communicate, making that a normal thing as soon as they grow up. For me, like I know for a fact that when I do have kids one day, I want to make sure as soon as they know how to speak, I'm gonna start talking to them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Right? And creating that safe environment that they can talk to me at all times. Yeah. Because I know what it feels like to be suffering and going through struggle and not being able to talk, communicate to anybody. And because when you bottle up emotions, like you said, you were going through a lot of your bottle was filling up.
Yeah.
Your bottle was filling up. So so now you said now you have a great communication. So I want to ask you is at what point, I mean, right now you have a good communication with your mom right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So at what point, so in the beginning it was really, really tough for you to open up. At what point of your life did that shift, and then you guys started to communicate a lot better? At what point in time, like what age, and how did that happen?
I want to say it was like when I graduated high school, I guess. Like when I started working, making my own income. As like, she would make jokes, like, of course, like, you're not an adult, like, you're just like barely like getting out there, which is true. But I was like, no, like, I'm an adult. So it was like, as an adult, you got to learn how to communicate as an adult and stuff. So I had to learn how to have those conversations with my mom, like whether if it was something I disagreed with when it came to like my younger siblings, I would talk to her about it. And like a lot of times that would be seen as stop trying to co-parent or second parent. But
did she take that in a positive way when you started to talk to her like an adult?
No.
Did she take?
No, she took it not at first. It was really, I guess you say it was a change.
Yeah.
It was definitely weird because I wasn't the person who talked a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't speak a lot as a kid or teenager, or much of that fact.
Yeah.
But especially when it came to like talking back or like having like open discussions, I was always quiet in those kinds of situations. But my mom, that was like her saying like, "You want to be an adult? Like I'm gonna treat you like an adult." And like, you want to talk like an adult? I was like, I'm gonna talk to you like an adult. And at first, it was really hard because we always bumped heads. It was always like, this is not how adults talk to each other. Adult conversation is where I'm talking to you regularly and you're not raising your voice at me like I'm your child.
Bro, healthy adult conversations.
Yes, like I was like, I'm trying to have a healthy adult conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not raising my voice. I'm not like none of that and everything. So that was like, at first it was, she took it as like, you're being disrespectful.
Yeah.
And
I
was like, no, and I had to really like talk to her about it one time. I think we just had a discussion about it one night. She was just like, oh, sorry, 1 second.
You good.
I was like, I could have sworn I put my phone on do not disturb. Okay, that would be my brother. Sorry.
It's all good.
Oh my goodness. No.
It's all good.
It's so annoying.
Good. It's all good.
It's okay. I told him, I was like, stop. But where was I? It was like one night we just had a conversation about it and everything. And she was just like, I don't like when you talk to me like this way and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm not trying to talk to you to like belittle you or like show you that like I have more control over the younger kids more than you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk to you so that one day you can learn how to properly handle them when the time comes. Like I was like, what if I just left one day? You wouldn't really know how to talk to them. It would kind of just be yelling back and forth and stuff like that. And I think that was the point where she really learned, like, you know, like, you're right. You're right. You have a little bit of more of an understanding with them than I do. And I think that's just hard for me. And like, that was like the turning point for us, like having adult conversations and stuff. Of course it wasn't always perfect, but like at times where like we were put in certain situations where we had to handle something that like shouldn't have happened in general. She would, my siblings would be like, oh, like, I don't want to talk to her. And I'd be like, well, you got to talk to her. At the end of the day, she is our mom. And like, I was like, I'm not your mom. Remember that. She is. I'm just like, I'm the mediator here. So that was like my position and everything. But she learned how to to communicate, not just with me, but eventually learned how to communicate with my siblings as well. So it happened like late in life, but it happened. It couldn't have been the perfect time for it to happen, I guess you can say. Yeah. And it's weird how time works because everything does happen for a reason in certain times and everything like that. So I always think back about it and I'm like, that's crazy. Like we were meant to like go through all that drama and stuff, but I was like, it sucked, but there were learning points for us to learn how to grow, learn how to be better.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, when you finally had, a healthy conversation with your mom for the first time and finally feeling like that your voice is heard, that she took it into consideration. How did that feel for you? Like, how did that make you feel?
It was really weird. It was just a weird feeling because like after the conversation was over, I just sat there and I was like, I kind of felt like lot of the weight that I have like on the back of my shoulders, I felt like a little bit of it was like finally like taken off and like slowly like that weight gets taken off every day and everything like since that moment. And like, so it was kind of just relieving to know that like, wow, okay, she has grown enough to have that conversation with me or have uncomfortable conversations with me. And so that was like, wow, that's crazy. That's how I saw it. I was like, what?
What? And the reason I bring that up so people can hear this, I want people to understand the psychological aspect of how people feel emotionally when their voice is heard. It's just like, when you have a relationship with somebody, right? When you have a relationship with somebody you love, a partner, it feels good when you're able to speak to them and they care about what you say, they respect what you say. If you're always putting your partner down, you can suffer emotionally. But when you talk to somebody that you love and care about, and they respect and appreciate what you say, and you feel like your voice is heard, it gives you a sense of empowerment, of feeling, especially emotionally, right? As a person. So, and I'm bringing this up to parents because a lot of parents don't understand that, because I understand, but I also understand the aspect of that dynamic of what they do. Because Polynesian parents, and if you want to jump in, and you can jump in anytime. But I understand that they didn't grow up with with communications. I'm not blaming them for the lack of communication, because
100%.
because they were raised that way, so they're just raising us the way they were raised. They didn't even have a lot of communication with their parents, so that was ingrained and conditioned into them. So they're just showing us the best love they can provide us, and just throw it out there for everybody out there. No matter how much what your issues are with your parents, and what you're going through in your life, in your home, just understand that your parents are not doing it on purpose. They love us, they appreciate us. I'm just but they only love us the way they were taught, because love can come in different forms. Right, it's not always rainbow and sunshine.
Right,
it's not always never. It's not always rainbow and sunshine. But people have different forms of love they're taught depending on how they grew up. So if they were taught a certain type of love, of a love that just doesn't require communication, that's the love they're gonna teach us as kids. All right. So I just want to let the parents know that when you communicate to your kids, and I know a lot of times, because our parents are very they have that tough love. It's very authoritative. They want to control. They want to make sure that, because I know why. I've talked to one of the elders before, and I know why they don't want us to speak back, because to them, in our culture, respect is everything, especially when it comes to our kids. So to them, to allow our kids to speak back, to them, they're like, I don't want them to think I'm weak, or they can walk all over me. Like, I have to show them my authority. I have to show them my authority towards them.
I just feel they have to respect me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they don't have a choice. Like, you have to respect me. Whereas like kids nowadays, like especially my younger siblings and I, it's respect is earned, not just given.
Say that to a bunch of people in the back.
Like losing respect. It's really it's hard to like lose my respect. You have to do something really dumb to lose my respect or anything like that, or trust. But like with both of us, for an older generation, I understand that like they were raised like respect. You have to respect me. Like, I'm your parent. That is like the law or whatever in the household. That's the law in the household. Yeah. But nowadays we're like, why would I respect you when you don't even treat me like your child?
And I'm glad we talk about this, because I really want to break this down for everybody that's watching. So when it comes to respect, right? Like you said, I love what you said. You have to earn it. No matter who you are in life, you have to. People are not going to give their respect willingly. You have to earn it. Yeah. But I also know at times that because of your status, because of your position in society, you can just put fear on people to respect you. So the thing is, a lot of times our parents, they just use force. They just force that respect on us based on their position, and because they are our parents. But the reason why I bring this up, if you rule your kids with fear and intimidation and physical discipline, so they can respect you, I just want to let you know it's not sustainable. It's not gonna, that respect, when that kid grows up and eventually when that kid realizes their own self growth and their own they can make their own decisions. As soon as they feel that, they're gonna leave. They're gonna stand up and they're gonna rebel, right?
Yeah.
But if you but like you said, if you earn respect with fear, with love, with affection, with communication, that's a respect that lasts forever.
Yeah.
Right? And I want people to listen to this and understand that, because I know upon the parents, like I know why they don't allow us to speak, because like they don't want to lose respect, and they think it's disrespectful, and they think that we're gonna walk over them, which we can, which we
I'm like,
as
there's
kids.
probably going to be poly parents watching this still thinking I'm disrespectful.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, you just seen it. Whenever you like I said, like when it's just like I guess when you try to force something, just like a relationship, like you force something with somebody, it's not gonna last
Yeah.
long, right? So, but I want to know you can still build a respectful relationship with your child, with your children, with love, with affection. All right, you have to break that ideology that I can only get respect by force or by fear or by intimidation. No, you can still have an open, loving relationship with your kids. You can communicate with them, and at the same time, they can still respect everything that you say. All right, and I know that's a whole new mindset or ideology that people don't want to hear or have comfortable hearing. But I just want people to hear that. And I'm just glad that you heard that. Like, even you said, like, when you finally had your first conversation with your mom and you felt like your voice was heard, I love what you said, a relief. You felt relieved. That's what, you said, that's the word you used. You said you were relieved of all the things you're going through. And that's why I want to just drill that home with everybody, that when you feel like your voice is heard with somebody that you love and care about, all the things that you go through, it relieves a lot of stuff that we shoulder because, because that person cares and listens to you and they're willing to share the burden. If that makes sense. Share that with you because they listen. But if you feel like that person doesn't care and it's one-sided, then you just, all the stuff you go through, it just piles up on your shoulder. And as kids, and of course, think about it, as a kid, maybe adults, you have more tolerance, but as a kid, our emotional strength is not that strong.
Nope.
Like we're very
no
fragile.
matter what emotion I was feeling at a young age,
Yeah,
there were tears involved.
exactly. Right.
Sad, angry, happy.
Yeah. So as adults, we can handle a lot more burden than when we're older. But think about it, as a kid, like you were 13, like you said, you started doing this like around 13, 14, or 12, a really young age. Our emotional like strength at that time is very brittle and very fragile. And, and the fact that even like you said, like I'm just listening to your story based on all the things you went through. I'm like damn, you're a warrior. I mean, you went through a lot of things. I went through my own stuff, but I don't think, like you said, I don't think I could ever walk in your shoes of the stuff that you were doing and what happened to you. So like, I had much love for you that you were able to overcome it, and that's you inspire me too. So yeah, but that's one thing I just want to talk about, the importance of communication between the parent and the child, and understanding that that you're not going to lose respect, because I know that's the common theme for most elders. Like it's all about respect. No, you can still communicate with your child in a respectful way, in a healthy way, and it also you're going to sustain it better. And also, what happens is you want your kid to. For me, it's my opinion. Like you want your kid to come to you. When something happens, you want to open that door, keep that door open, so that way, if something bad happens or if they're going through something, they'll come to you first. But if that door is closed, or they feel like they don't feel that safe place, then instead of coming to you with the first time of struggle, what did we end up like I said, adios.
They're either gonna find something else, or they're gonna find something else.
Exactly. They're gonna find it outside the crib. We're gonna dip.
I'm like, I can't get anything here. Bye.
Exactly. So, anything else you want to add to that discussion of that topic?
Nah, I think that was good.
I know, exactly. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Conversation with your kids after this.
Exactly. I do want to talk about. I know you say you went through depression, right? I want to talk about that because I know depression and mental health is a big part of what we go through as anybody who's going through it. But specifically with our culture, it's not really talked about. So I do want to. Can you talk about more specifically, okay, when you went through mental health issues and you finally realized you were going through mental health issues, and then finally talking to your mom or your parents of your mental health issues, and then just talk about like what was their response? Did did they take it seriously? Did they believe it was real or whatever? Can you talk about that specific experience in your life?
Yeah, so I guess you can say my depression started not when I was in middle school. I remember one time I went to the doctor and I like spoke to him about it, and he was just like, "You have a lot of unopened trauma." You know, I was like, and like at a young age, I'm like, "What the heck is trauma? Like, what is that?"
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like, "It's like stuff that has happened to you, but you choose to like shut it out, like
yeah,
mentally and
yeah,
everything like that." And I was like, "Huh." That was weird because I have like really weird, vivid dreams sometimes when I'm sleeping. And like they don't feel like dreams; they feel like memories that I
yeah.
don't really remember, or it's just like. And so when I remember talking to my doctor about that one time, he was just like, "That is very dangerous. You need to be really careful and everything, because yes, you're just unbagging like a little bit of what's going on like now or what's been going on in the few years, but as you get older, um, those experiences that have happened to you like way younger is gonna eventually come to light and everything like for yourself, and like it's gonna either bring you down or you're gonna choose to like use that as fuel." And that was like, it was awesome because I love my doctor for ever telling me that, because uh I guess it started when I was maybe like 6, 7, when I like started going through like depression and everything. I think it was like the way the things that happened to me at that young age is kind of what caused me to be the quiet, introverted person I grew to be like through elementary, middle school, and high school, because of like I just chose like, oh, like I was young, I didn't know what to think. So I'm like, oh, if I don't tell anyone about this, like it'll be fine. Like I'll just like throw it in my memory and I won't ever remember it. And that's like basically how I went on about my days. But like I always have like to this day I have memories and everything like that. And like it's just crazy because depression with my family, specifically, it wasn't looked at as a bad thing, which I'm like thankful for.
Hmm.
When my mom, the way my mom reacted the first time and stuff, of course, she was just shocked. I think that was her shock and like everything. But she told me like she has also gone through like depression and everything like that, and so like she understands like how hard it can be to deal with it. So it was that was a good thing. My siblings were super loving and caring. My older siblings, like they just like want to make sure like I'm okay. My younger siblings, they all go through. I'm pretty sure like they all have their own ways that they cope with their issues and stuff. Mine were either healthy or not healthy. But I was thankful enough to have like a family that is open minded to those kinds of things, because a lot of families aren't, especially Polynesian kids. I know I have like a couple friends that are just like, "Oh, my family don't think that's real," and I'm like, I know. It was weird when my grandpa on my mom's side, uh, I love that man. He's like amazing. Like just like one of the best people I know. He when I talked to him about like how I felt, it was really hard because he's Tongan, straight out of Tongan and everything like that. But he was just very open minded to it, because I think he's dealt with it before, not just with my mom, but like her siblings. And like I was like, dang, I wish like all poly grandparents could be like you. I wish like all poly parents could be like my mom or like her siblings, because it's so real, and a lot of people don't see it as real until something happens. And a lot of time that something that happens is either suicide or attempted suicide and everything. So I have like my fair amount of those times. I know it's not fun. It's just like going through those things isn't fun. And like there's always reasons like that don't really like show like, oh, she did it because of this, or like she feels this way because of this. And I'm like, it's there's so much more baggage than people just like than like what you just tell them is going on like right now. And a lot of people don't see that.
Yeah. So So your mom pretty much she knows about mental health, everything, even when you
Yeah.
were earlier age. Okay.
Mhm.
What were like, when you first when she first recognized you were going through mental health issues, like what was her like? Did she give you any like advice or things you can do to help out? Like I'm just interested in hearing what she
Um,
what she
there
said.
weren't really like things she told me like to do like to help, because like of course she understood that people cope in their own ways and
Yeah.
stuff, but she did express that like you can talk to me about these things, but it was just after like because of everything I've gone through, the relationship, the way our relationship was, I still didn't really have that kind of confidence to like
Just
talk to her about it.
oh, gotcha.
So
Yeah.
even though she like voiced that I can talk to her, it was still really hard for me too, anyways.
Yeah.
So I think like she did a good job at voicing it. It was just me like, uh,
Yeah.
thank you, but I'm okay.
Yeah, the communication skills weren't at that
Yeah.
level yet. At that level yet. All right. So I'm interested to hear about can if you don't mind talking about, I know you talked about, when you were self-harming yourself. Because I do know there's I know a lot of people personally that have done that in their life, and I do know that's something that happens a lot to a lot of Polynesians. Um, do you mind talking about that? And only, I know you did, but like, how did you get out of it? Like, how did you figure out for yourself to stop doing that to yourself? Because I feel like a lot of girls and guys definitely need to hear that.
Yeah. One thing I know for sure is that like when I very first harmed myself, like the very first time, of course it wasn't the last, but it was like it was weird because I sat there and I looked at myself, like just looking at what I did to myself, and I was like, I didn't really feel any pain out of that. So while it's like in the process of me doing that to myself, I don't feel anything. Like it's just like, oh, like I'm just keep going. Like there's nothing to do. Like I don't feel it. Like I'm so emotionally numb that it's physically like not even like hurting me. So the way I was able to get through most of that was like my friends, like my close friends and like my siblings, like just like knowing that like, man, I hurt myself, but like I would never like want my friends or family to do that. And I know they don't want me to do it. So like I can't really tell them like if one of them were to ever come to me saying, "Oh, like I hurt myself," and I can't really look at them and say like, "Why would you do that?" Like that's not okay, because that would make me a hypocrite. Like, dude, you did that. Like that's how you chose to cope with your pain and everything. So that was kind of what made me like slowly stop doing that to myself, like physically hurting myself that way. I just really tried to look at it from their point of view and everything. And like, that's how I like have lived most of my experiences. Like, how would like they see you if you're doing this or something like that? And like, mostly it's mostly my siblings, because I just want to like, I don't want them to be like, oh, think that they ever were the cause of it or something like that. And like, that's what like people can think. That's what like slowly made me like, okay, like I need to find different things, like not just like physically hurting myself, whether I am cutting my wrists or I'm punching walls or
Dang, girl.
anything. Yeah, I was angry. I was always quiet, but I always had a lot of anger in me. So I was always hitting stuff or like hurting myself, to like bring that like energy out of the way. So I started like, of course, I started pouring my more into the physical things I did instead of like the normal things. So I would like, okay, if I felt like hurting myself, what I would do was I would grab my guitar and I would and I would learn a new song on the guitar. And I was like, okay, like, because immediately I would just like get so focused on the song, I'd be like, oh, like that's not the right chord, this, and that. So that was one of the ways. Or another way was making sure I was always around with someone, and I wasn't by myself. As much as I wanted to be by myself, I always made sure I had one person like next to me, whether it was one of my siblings or if I told one of my best friends to hang out with me, I'm like, hey, like, what are you doing? They're like, nothing. You want to come over? I'm like, yeah, let's go. And that was like my way of coping, basically, and getting over harming myself. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I guess one question I want to ask you is because one thing I know about, when I had a friend that, you know, she harmed herself, and then I remember she talked about, like, when their family found out, you know, there's a lot of times when because a lot of Polynesians don't understand, you know, mental health and self harm, they usually just criticize or judge you. And a lot of times when people find out that you're harming yourself, they think that you're like something's wrong with you. You're crazy. They think you're crazy. You know?
They think you're insane.
Insane, crazy. You need to be in like in a site, you know, those crazy houses. You know, yeah, the mental health hospitals. You know, locked away from everybody, and that's why I know that's what she expressed. But I want people to listen to this, because, like, you know, when somebody, you know, just think about it. You know, it's not, no kid just one day just wakes up and says, you know what, I want to harm myself today. That does not happen normally, right?
That's not normal.
Yeah, exactly. So if they're harming themselves, clearly there's something wrong, and there's always a reason. In everything we do, there's always a reason behind it. And instead of like judging them, you should reach out to that kid or that person and ask them, hey, you know, what's going on? You know, why are you harming yourself? Like, you know, a lot of your friends did. So I want to ask you, like, you know, what was like, I know you did mention a little bit, like, you know, you didn't feel anything, and that's when you started doing this. Well, but looking back at it now, when you first started doing it, what was like the reason why you wanted, like, what was like the reason why you harmed yourself? Like the real reason.
Oh, the real reason, like, one of the main reasons was I was trying to feel something.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe if I like hurt myself, like I'll feel like mad at or angry, like that I did that to myself. But that didn't happen. I was just like, okay, well, that didn't work. It was, but like the feeling of afterwards, like after it happened, like the scars, like it like gets a little sore and everything, like it's a little tender and everything. It made my sleeping uncomfortable and stuff. And like when I would sleep, and like that was like, man, like you did all that to feel something, and like there's nothing. It's like you're just trying to feel something, but there's literally nothing. And it's just, I was like, dang, how emotionally damaged am I? Because like to not even feel physical pain of a blade against my skin. And it's like, and it just like gave me the mindset, like, I wonder if I'm scared to die. Like, I wonder if I were ever put in like a life or death situation, like how I would react to that. Like if there was a gun put to my head or something like that, I'd be like, you gonna do it or am I? Like that was like, that would have been me back then. Whereas like now, like I look back at it and like I see I have like a bunch of scars. So most of them have faded, but I still have them. And like every now and then I'll like look at them and I'll see it as like, you're not weak for doing that to yourself. I was like, you were just trying to feel something when you felt nothing. And that's like, I think that's the biggest thing I want like people to know, like when they're hurting themselves. I've had a few friends come to me like telling me like, I hurt myself again. And I was like, the response I gave them was, did you get what you wanted when you hurt yourself? And they're like, no. And I'm like, yeah, I know you didn't. And they're like, honestly, like, I was like, you were just doing it because you feel nothing, like you feel empty. And they were like, yeah. And like, I kind of like wanted to see like if someone would notice, but no one noticed, like in my family. And I was like, that one right there. I was like, that's crazy, because like even when that happens, a lot of times families will either won't acknowledge it, or they'll say, why would you do that? Like, are you doing this for attention? Like, do you want the attention, like that kind of attention put on you? And that was like the hard thing. I was like, dang. But like, it was just me trying to feel something, like anything.
Yeah.
Out of, like that dark hole that I was in. I was just like, I can't feel it. And I feel so empty. I feel so bleh. I feel so numb. And it's crazy because that's how I felt. So that's how I felt emotionally. And it ended up, that's how I ended up feeling physically as well. So like those kinds of things just didn't faze me at that point. And I was just like, and then that was like also like one of the things I look back on and I'm like, you're not bad. Like not everyone, but like other people have done what you have done because they feel the same way. And like a lot of people don't think that, but that's how I viewed it.
Yeah, and like you said, like a lot of people think that when somebody does harm themselves, like they think it's they're looking for attention, which is crazy for me. Is like just understand like common sense. Like what we think a child would hurt themselves for attention.
I'm like, huh?
All right. So no, just for me, it's like when somebody does that to themselves, it's not for attention. It's like it's pretty much like a cry for help. Like they just want somebody to reach out and understand and help them and love them. That's all that is. So I just wanted to bring that up so people can hear this. And, if you know somebody in your family that are hurting themselves, please don't judge and criticize it and put them down or make them feel like an outcast. They're just like you said perfectly. Like they don't feel something. There's something going on with their life. They don't feel something, and they're just trying to feel something. And usually they need that very thing that they need is actually from the people they look up to, and especially in their own family. Thank you for sharing that. By the way, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I do want to go into and talk about. I know you mentioned before you growing up early that you were in a very toxic relationship. I feel like that's happens to a lot of people, but for you, to experience that at a very young age, I know how that can impact you a lot more when it can be more traumatic when you go, for most people, they usually get into relationships, toxic relationship later in life, but as they get older, but you went through that very early. So can you talk about that? Because I know a lot of girls are dating in high school and middle school, and of course, relationships always has a big impact to your mental health. Always.
Definitely.
Yeah, because you're like
150%.
Yeah, so right, so like if you're not getting that love from your partner, it doesn't. It actually maybe for some cases for some people it does. It actually impacts them more from their own parents or their own family based on your partner. So, so can you talk about looking back at it now and on your relationship growing up early? What were the things that was toxic that you didn't recognize that were toxic, but now you have to self awareness now because you went through your own self growth. So I feel like a lot of girls need to hear this so they can realize because when you're younger you don't really have a lot of experience with relationships, so you don't really know what to expect out of it. You don't know how especially for a young woman, like you don't know how a man should treat you. If you don't know anything if you don't have a lot of experience, practical experience with your relationships, you just go in there without knowing like how the man should treat you. And so pretty much like however that guy you date, that's your expectation now of what a relationship is because it's your first relationship because you never had nothing. You have nothing to compare it to. All right, so however they treat you, you just okay. I guess this is normal, in your mind.
Yeah,
right? Whatever it's
for a while I was like, yeah, that's normal.
So I guess it's in
your
mind.
Like, yeah, he does it all the time. Like, okay, so so first off, girls, if you're with your very first relationship, you're in high school, of the way he acts around you, because I know he's your significant other at the time, at this point in life, but I guarantee you he is not your husband for the future. He is not your soulmate. I was like, he is what he is he's the only relationship besides your parents and like your siblings relationships, of course, or the ones you see on TV. But don't settle really for what you have. This guy, what was toxic was the way he told me how to be when it came to like my family, or how to react when it came to my family. I say a lot of my rebelliousness was influenced by his. Like he's like, your parents are like, your mom's crazy, like your siblings are just like mad at you, they just don't want to like that. That's like a big red flag for me. I'm like, because like I'm like, no one's allowed to criticize my family except for me. I was like, only I can do that. Like, it's when you do that, that's just like I'm gonna beat you up. But he liked one of the important things I can't stress this enough is learning how to love your significant other in their love language, not yours. Whereas his love language was physical touch, and he was always like wanting to hug me. He always wanted to be with me and everything. And my love language is words of affirmation and quality time.
Yeah.
And so like those are and a little bit of physical touch, but not really a fan of it as much. But he would like tell me like, oh, come on, like they're not home, like it's just me, like it's like I'm your boyfriend. Like that's what he would use to justify everything, like I'm your boyfriend, like come on.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah. I ignored those kinds of things, and those like things ended up leading to like bad things. And I was like, dang, like I just let him influence a lot. And that's one thing I can't stress enough with like girls nowadays. I'm like, don't let him influence your actions. I was like, don't let him like tell you what is good for you, or don't let him make comments on your family life and everything like that, because he is temporary. He was temporary. And like at the time I was like, oh my gosh, I was so like, he's a good guy, he's gonna be with me forever, blah blah blah. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? It's just like the relationship I have now, so like my boyfriend now and the relationship I had then, completely different. I know what to look for and what not to look for, and like what I want and what I don't want. And like that's something that I feel like I've upgraded more. So like not just looks wise, but like I'm like I upgraded because he is always telling me like, he doesn't tell me like how to respond to my family in a negative way, or if like I feel some type of way, he'll pick it up and he'll be like, how are you feeling? That's like the first question he asks me every single day, like if we don't talk for a while and stuff. Also, if you talk to your significant other every minute of the day, that's a little weird. But the first question he always asks me, he's like, how are you feeling? And I'm like, oh, I'm fine. He's like, just fine. And I'm like, well, yeah, because this happened. And he's like, okay, what are you gonna do about that? Finding a partner that knows how to assess your emotions and everything, and not just call you crazy. My ex-boyfriend from when I was in high school always called me crazy for the way I reacted and stuff, or the way I was doing something, blah blah blah. He liked to buy me things and stuff, but like I wasn't a fan of that because I don't know how to react to those kinds of things. I don't receive those kinds of things often.
Yeah.
So I'm really big. One thing I have grown from tremendously is just not ignoring those signs, and that's something I had to learn the hard way. One thing what ended that relationship was respect. That was like what ended the relationship. The whole time in that relationship in high school, he never called me a name. Like he wasn't bad. Like he didn't call me like he would call me a whore or anything like that. But he was like, he never called me a verbal word or anything like that. But he was emotionally manipulative. And the one time he did call me a bad word, like he called me a bitch, and it was like one time. And that was the very first and last time. And I broke up with him then and there, because I was like, if there's one thing I do know, my father has never called my mom that. My brothers have never called their significant others that. And I was like, why would I take that from you? And it was over text message too. Like I'm like, I won't break up with you in person. But he was like, so you can do this and that, but you can't text me back. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you're such a bitch. And I was like, all right, I'm done. And he was like, what? And I was like, I was like, that is like, I was like, if you ever did that to me, like in the early years, this relationship would have been over a long time ago. But I always give more than one chance, which is one of my like bad habits, which I've grown not to do anymore. But that was the very first time and last time. And like, I feel like nowadays it's really normalized to be called that. I don't know why, but it is. But maybe I just have high standards. But girls, don't let them degrade you like that. Like, you're a queen. Don't let them don't let them call you anything less. And it's weird, but like that's how I like immediately like that was like, oh, you can't call me those names. That is just plain like I was like, you can like emotionally manipulate me all you want, but calling me like a bad word, that was it. That was like the end of the show. And like I remember telling people that like that was what made you break up with him, not this, this, and that. I was like, yeah, I know. But I was like, I was like 15 and here I am 21 and I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad. There have been times where he's like tried to follow me on Instagram still, and I'm like, I don't like you. Get out of my life. I'm like, I'm not gonna follow you back, no matter how many times you follow me. And that's just like one thing I hope girls nowadays understand. That's not normal. If he calls you that, that's not normal. It's actually weird because I guarantee you he wouldn't call you that in front of his mom and everything like that, in front of your mom, anything like that. So just be mindful and really watch the way he acts around not just you, your family, and how he acts when your family is gone, because that's like crucial in a partner. Yeah.
I know, just listen to everything you said. I guess I'm just like trying to take what can people take away from it. I know you mentioned respect, of course. That was like the biggest thing for you. Respect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very important for a lot of girls. And understanding that a healthy relationship requires a partner that respects you in every way, like emotionally, mentally, physically. Sometimes people will respect you physically, but they won't respect you emotionally. So you gotta really, and that's the type of culture that we live in now.
Yeah.
So respect is a big thing. And I guess what you said, somebody that doesn't manipulate you. So like being honest and also like especially for us Polynesians, like our family is everything. So like find somebody that loves your family just as much as you do.
Yeah.
And I know, but I do know, but I know every situation is different because there are some families that are just toxic and more broken than other families. But I guess the best way, especially if your family is hurting you, then I guess it's good to have a partner that sees that and will be able to be upfront with you and let you know, you don't have to take that from your family member if they're really hurting you. So I guess I think like I guess I'm trying to say, trying to find somebody that always pushes you to do the right thing and do the do the right thing. That's best for you.
Find someone that pushes you to be a better you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
not someone better for them.
Exactly.
Not someone that benefits them.
Exactly.
Benefits your.
Yeah. So find somebody that is not focused on their own self-interest, but really cares about your interests and what's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you can find somebody like that, and that's and I know that's probably what we're speaking now is probably foreign language to most people in our culture right now, in our generation of growing up with love, because right now in our culture, love is it's pretty hard. It's I mean, but just talking to my friends, it's really hard to find people. It's really hard to find a genuine person, especially if you are a good person. I do understand there are some terrible people out there, some terrible partners out there. But just to put it out there, there are good people out there. There are really good people out there that will love and respect you. So if I had to ask you, like, what's, 3 things that you feel like it's a must in a healthy relationship, what would it be? If you want to list them, give me like your top 3. Your top 3.
Yeah. Top 3 for me is communication. That's like my number 1. Like not just like not talking every day, but like really communicating on how you're feeling. If something you're doing that makes them they don't like something, and you address it and you both work on it together. That's what kind of communication I mean. But what I mean by that. Number 2, definitely respect. If you don't feel like doing something, they shouldn't be forcing you, or they shouldn't be making you feel bad for not wanting it. And that's just like in all aspects of like having mutual respect for one another, to know like your boundaries and stuff. And number three is boundaries, because even though you are in a relationship and you guys do have that kind of communication and everything like that, there are boundaries that you need to set. A lot of people are like, no, like there's no such thing as boundaries. Like in a relationship, I'm like, that is a necessity. Boundaries are a necessity when it comes to being in a relationship with your significant other, whether it's a boundary when it comes to family, boundary comes to your job. There's boundaries are very important and need to be set. So those would be my top three: communication, respect, and boundaries.
Yeah, of course. Like, yeah, I wonder who said that. Like, well, there's boundaries in everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the big thing you said, communication. And I know for a lot of people that are watching this, especially if you're younger, I feel like in our culture that could be tough, especially because everything now is through text and through social media.
Yeah.
So nowadays, when I grew up, like everything for me, like I don't really prefer, dating somebody online. I mean, to each his own. Everybody wants to do, but for me, I'm a really face-to-face person. Like if I'm going to communicate something, I need to see you face-to-face. So I understand.
Yeah, if it's a serious matter, I'm like, no, we need to talk about this like person.
Yeah, out of FaceTime, but I need because I really need to see your reaction, right? So everything about how you react will tell me everything I need. And for me, I'm an energy guy, so I need to feel that energy from you. So, but no, that could be really hard. Everybody now starts relationship through text, through social media, so you don't really get to feel anything. So it's really hard to understand people. So all you have to go by is like what they say. So I really push for people, if you are dating people online, or like try to meet them as fast as possible. Try to link up as fast as possible so you can figure out what type of person you are, because it's really sometimes people's social media personality is totally opposite opposite than their real life personality. All right.
Hey, that's how my significant other is now. We met literally online and everything. And people are like, that's so weird. And I'm like, no, it's not, because I friend zoned him the very first time because I didn't know how he was. And then I got to know him and I was like, oh, okay, he's cool. But yeah, good. If you meet someone online or anything like that, like just like try to like really get to know them before actually like rushing into anything. Because I knew my boyfriend now, I knew him for more than like 2 months, way before we started dating. Yeah. And the very first time I friend zoned him. So I was like, nah, we're just besties. Well, so if you're her bestie right now, she's just testing you, okay?
I think I read something. What did I say? I think I read something. What did I say? I read something funny about somebody posted about friend zone. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, it's like somebody. I die laughing because like, yeah, if you DM a girl and she friend zone you, I think somebody laughed. I think it was on somebody's TikTok, but they were like, yeah, but the fact that she replies to you to let you know you're getting friend zoned, that still means there's a chance something.
There's still a chance. Yep.
If she totally doesn't respond, then that means it's over. I was laughing.
She leaves you on red.
Yeah. There is no zone at all.
Yeah. I'm like, you didn't even make it past that.
So I was just laughing when I heard that. So, well, I do want to ask you, because I know you're a woman. I'm interested to hear your perspective on it. Like, usually Polynesian families and Mormon, like they expect you to be in a relationship or to get married as soon as possible. So did you ever feel like that expectation growing up? I'm just interested.
No. So if anything, that was like told not to do. I think it was just because like off of their experience, like both my parents, they were just like, no, like you don't need to get married right away, like right after, like as soon as possible. Like I notice a lot for when people get off their missions, they get married. I guess thing. But even after like that, all my siblings like we took our time, like they took their time, not we, because I'm not even married yet. What? But my mom always told us like don't rush those kinds of things because it's different. You really need to learn how to. I was like, yeah, you could be in a relationship for so many years, blah blah blah, but like there's so much more you need to learn about them, like how they are if in a living situation, like okay, like I suggest like living with your partner before getting married. Like that's gonna tell you like how they would be when you're together, and which is super important and stuff like that. But that was always told like no, like don't get married like right away. That's bad. Um, I think that feeds off of like their experiences themselves. Like my mom was married at a young age and everything like that. She had my
How old
brother
was
at a
she?
young. My mom was 17 when she got married.
Oh wow, that's really young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that yeah. So like that's like when we're in relationships and stuff. She's like, don't rush anything, okay? Like don't
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't and stuff. And it's like my mom like she had to grow up fast and everything, which is true. But that's something that she always told us not to do. Like just really, she's like, you really need to get to know your partner before you marry them. Yeah. So that's something. It was not encouraged to get married as soon as possible for us.
No, I was just laughing at the
My
missionary
nephew.
comment. No, no,
Oh, the
no.
missionary comment. I'm like, he's like calling my name right now. I'm like,
Like everybody gets back from the mission, and
yeah.
know.
Because even when my brothers got back from their missions, they didn't get married right away. Like my oldest brother, he recently just got married. But as much as like everyone's like, oh, now that you're back, you need to get married and stuff, he was just like, no, I'm good. I'm cool. My other older brother, he came back from his mission, and like his girlfriend that he had before the mission, he ended up marrying her after his mission and everything. But like their relationship, like they knew how each other worked, so that was like a difference in it. But like most of the missionaries I know, I'm like, dang, y'all just looking for wives like that, like. What the heck? That's one thing I've noticed since moving out here. It's always like the returned missionaries. Oh, where you from? Oh my god. Anyways.
I do want to go into. I know you were talking about your own spiritual relationship with God. I feel like I feel like everybody, for me, God is a big part of my life. And I love that. I love the way you explain it. Our relationship with God is between us and God. It's our own relationship with God. And I just want to ask you is, how was, what role does he play in your life, and how, what impact that he did with you, especially of all the things that you've went through. And I know, and just put it out there, because I know a lot of times, I mean, for me being Mormon, you're Mormon too, so you can probably relate to this. Like, but I see it with a lot of my friends or family members that are growing up in the Mormon church. They, they have this expectation, like they have to have a spiritual perfect relationship or a journey with God. And because I believe everything in life is a journey. Love is a journey, happiness is a journey. Finding your passion in life you want to do for the rest of your life is a journey. Everything in life is a journey. Even our relationship with God is a journey. So it's something that we just have to grow with and experience in our own. And just because, like all journeys, like there's gonna be ups and downs. Just because you're not living that perfect spiritual life, or you're making mistakes, or you're making sins, does not mean that you're unworthy of God's love, I guess. Because I feel like a lot of times when people are going, because we grew up in religious families, Polynesians, so religion is a big part of our, is a big priority within the, in the structural hierarchy of our family and the culture. God, church is a big thing, but no, a lot of times, life happens. You may not be able to go to church every Sunday. You may not be able to, go on, like you say, even go on a mission. That doesn't mean that you are any less than anybody or undeserving of a relationship with God and His love. So that's something I had to learn over time, because when I grew up as a child, what I knew, what my parents taught me, was like, if you follow the commandments, you go to heaven. If you don't follow the commandments, you go to hell. So I remember when I grew up and I started learning, when I started living that life, I started drinking, started smoking, started partying. I remember like I would like cry and drink at the same time. Like, I'm going to hell.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to hell. Might as well go out having fun.
Like I used to go out and have fun, and then feel hella guilty about myself, and hella, feel that shame, and then I'm like, and then I'll hate myself. I'll be hard on myself. I put
like,
all
dang,
this,
like you know better, like
yeah,
you were taught better and stuff
yeah,
like that.
exactly, and then it just, it affected my mental health sometimes, not feel confident about myself and feel like I'm a disappointment to society and to my family and to my parents. And then of course I'm hiding all these feelings. I'm not letting anybody know I feel this way. And then sometimes I don't want to go to church because I feel like I might get struck by lightning if I walk into.
Every time I walked into the church, I was like, I would hesitate. I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna catch on fire.
Please
Go
don't.
sing sacrament. The first time I didn't take sacrament, my mom looked at me. She was like, I was like, no, I feel good. Like that's just a bad feeling.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like I've seen that before, right? Where I see people not take sacrament, and I used to, and I remember, and I've done that too. But just maturing now, as I'm older now, and just understanding not only God and Jesus Christ. That's what everybody out there, like the one thing. I guess my favorite biblical verse that I always hold on to that gets me through tough times is when Jesus said that, like, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not an expert. I don't rarely read the Bible. So all you like experts out there, if I mispronounce this or misinterpret this quote, don't kill me.
Okay, me too.
But I think what he said was like, I didn't come here for the healthy. I came here for the sick. That's what he said. Like I didn't come here to save the people that already saved. I came here to save the people that need to be saved. And like he came for people that sin. He came for people that make mistakes. He came for people that are going through struggles in their own life. He came to help them, to love them. So for me, I just want to say that because I remind everybody out there, like the sacrament. Of course, the way the sacrament, we take that so that way we can allow Jesus to come into our life. When we take the sacrament, he's like absolving us of what we go through, so he can like forgive us. So you need and I want to say that with all my heart because I know what that feels like. They feel like that spiritually, because I'm not spiritually living a good life. That affected my confidence and everything I did. And I just want everybody out there to know that no matter where you are right now, no matter how many mistakes you made or how many sins you've done or whatever, even if the whole world is against you, even society is against you, your family's against you, I just want you to know that God loves you. Yeah, right. And he always wants the best for you. He always wants you to come back to him. But it's up to us to understand that, and of course go through our own journey and own personal, like you said, go on through our own personal growth journey to learn that and take responsibility and start changing our life for the better. But God always wants us to do better, no matter how many times we fall. All right. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. But I want to ask you, as far as your own spiritual journey for yourself, how that impacted you, how that helped you, and especially going through all the tough times in your life. And I'm just interested to hear that from that part of your story, if you want to share that.
Yeah. So for me, Heavenly Father he's my number one. He is my number one value, and everything like that in life. He always has been, like since I was little. I did lose my way and everything. Like I'm pretty sure everyone has that experience.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna go through something in their life where it makes them question Heavenly Father, which is totally normal. And I think, but for me, it was like that experience was like I really need to learn on my own. I got to learn how he really is, like how he is with me and stuff, because he's not the same with everyone. He's different with everyone and everything. Just learning how to properly love myself the way I know he loves me, despite all my flaws and my issues, and really trying to tell myself, like, just because you broke this commandment that one time, that doesn't mean you're automatically like you're deemed to hell. You can always redeem yourself in the eyes of God and stuff. And that was something I really had to come to terms with, especially like when it was like serving mission, because I'm pretty sure like a lot of times people thought like, oh, she's gonna serve her mission when she gets out, like when she grows up, blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, that's my number one goal. As I started growing and learning, I was like, I don't think that's what Heavenly Father has in mind for me. Like honestly, learning how And
And
just like,
especially within the church, like if you don't serve a mission, you get judged for that. You get crucified for
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, I don't think that's the plan he has for me. A mission is not for everyone. Like the way everyone deems it as, you need to serve your mission. It's like your one-way ticket to heaven and stuff. I'm like, no, it's not. What the heck? But I'm grateful for everyone who does serve their mission and everything, because they are like just spreading the word of the gospel. Um, there's like lots of things that like I agree with and I don't agree with our church, but at the end of the day, like I do know, like I believe in I believe in God, and I don't need to prove that to anyone by attending or taking sacrament. Like those are like the big things for people, like, oh, she just doesn't have a good relationship with God because she doesn't come to church. Oh, she doesn't have a good
Yeah.
relationship with God because she didn't take sacrament. Did you see her and stuff? And I'm like, yes. Or like, oh, she has a dress above the knees. Oh my gosh. I'm like, it's just a dress. If it makes you feel some type of way, I'm sorry. I'm tall. I grow into my dresses fast. But that was like just learning how to build that relationship on your own, because it's not something that you can build by the influence of others. That's what I fully believe. Just really like taking that, whether it takes 1 year, takes a day, takes a long time, you finding yourself and the way you and like Heavenly Father work together, that's all up to you. And that's not for anyone to judge or anything like that. Because in my mind, the only judgment that matters to me is the one at the end of this life. And it's like, you can judge me all you want, but at the end of the day, God keeps score. And that's the only score that matters. And I'm pretty sure your score is probably worse than mine, just because you judge so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically how I view like my relationship with Heavenly Father. And he is just like my number one. Like I like have so many goals in life that I want to achieve, whether it's like getting married in the temple or something like that. And a lot of people look at me, they're like, you're gonna get married in the temple? And I'm like, why does that shock you? Like that is a dream of mine.
Yeah.
I'm just confused. And I'm like, well, that's for you to be confused about, not God. So so that's like just me. Like I live my life like through him now, like more so than I used to then. When I started like going to church more, like speaking more spiritually and stuff, my family always, they were like, oh wow, that's interesting. I'm like, yeah, I know, whatever. Yeah, he is just like, he's my number one basically. That's my bestie.
No, I love what you said, and I know, especially when you said like our relationship with God is only our relationship with Him, and I think that's something I just wanted to share with everybody, because life is not always perfect. At the end of the day, if it's your own relationship. So if you're living a good life and you go to church every Sunday and you fulfill your callings and do everything, hey, all power to you. And I respect that. Do you? And you're actually doing, you're actually living in a great person. But there are some people, based on the circumstances of their life, that they can't always go to church every Sunday, or they can't always fulfill their callings. But that doesn't make them less than anybody else. It's just like you said, our lives are all different, and our relationships, so the experiences that we go through, are all different. But the love that God has for all of us, it's all the same. But yeah, but like you said, I love, yeah. Just because you don't go to church every Sunday, or that does not mean like,
yeah, he doesn't love me any less.
exactly.
I was like, he doesn't love me any less than you, and he doesn't love me any more than you. He loves us all the same. As much as like people don't think that's true, he does.
I know, right? It's like, and I feel like a lot. I just feel like a lot lately, because at the end of the day, if you are Mormon, the word can be a little judgy.
Yeah.
Words are there's a
I
lot
grew
of
up in a Tongan ward, so there's that.
I know. So like it's like the church dynamics is, there's a lot of stuff that goes in the church, and like a lot of judgment and just issues. But anyway, at the end of the day, like you said, just whatever makes you happy, and then just understand that God loves you, and then do whatever you have to do to build that relationship with Him. Yeah, and if my ward's watching this, I know it's been a while, but
Hey.
I'll see.
I'm like my home ward watching this in my new ward that I still have yet to attend. Hey.
Yeah, just like I haven't given up, guys. I'm just in deactivated
Working
mode
through
right
the
now.
motions.
I'll activate myself pretty. I don't know whenever that time comes. I'm just keeping it there. All right, so I do want to talk about. Yeah, I'm just interested. I know culturally. Did you grow up? Did you go? Was your mom very? Was your mom when you raised? Were you guys very traditional as far as like Tongan culture, or was it more like? Culturally, how
Like
was
the
it when you grew up?
basics.
How was it when you
I
grew
guess
up?
you could say the basics. I guess. Like don't disrespect your older siblings. Respect your mom and dad. Everything
Yeah.
like that. Your older sibling tells you to do something, you do it. Stuff like that. That's kind of like we still like respect those things like to this day and stuff. But it's hard to like respect those kind of things because it's just weird how like the whole older sister thing, like the fahu title and stuff like that. I don't really know how to handle those kinds of scenarios because like yeah, I love my older sister. She's awesome and like I'll do anything for her. But there's times where like that title would be held over our heads. And I'm pretty sure it's held over for like a lot of kids and stuff. And like my sister, she didn't really abuse it or anything like that, but she would like, I'm your older sister. And I'm like, okay, your point. When my dad died, like it kind of like wasn't applied as much, but like don't wear shorts, like just dress appropriately around your brothers and stuff. Like yeah, we still do that and everything. Same with the boys, dress appropriately around the girls. Whereas it was like, why are the boys? One thing that like always stood out to me was like the boys sometimes had it easier than the girls. Not always. Sometimes not. It's not always like that. But say like you want to go hang out with your friends. For the girls, like you can't really do that because you're there. Like no, you have to clean the house. Okay. Boys, can I go hang out with the boys? Oh yeah, cool, whatever. Like, it's like they were more lenient. And it's like more so like the girls, they're supposed to be the princesses, but in reality the sons are. But when my dad died, like it was just kind of like we learned how to be our own people, our own person, basically, like me and my younger siblings. So like whether that came with like not really caressing as the normal for polys and stuff, where it was like always covered, whereas for me I'm always covered because that's just my comfort. I like sweats and hoodies. That's me. My little sister's it was always like the one that performed. She's a performer and everything. She's a really pretty little girl and everything, and she likes to prove, like she likes to show it. She's like, I'm pretty and I know that. I'm like, yes, you are. You got that. You have that confidence. I don't. But a lot of times people would like see that as like, oh my gosh, like her mom lets her dress like that and stuff like that. And like my answer to that would be like, yes, I was like, yes, my mom does let us dress like that because my mom wants us to be our own people. My mom wants us to be who our own person for ourselves and not for anyone else. Like the way the stereotype for us was always like, oh, they want us to cover our shoulders. They want us to cover our legs. They want us to do this, but it's all to avoid like the way others view us and everything like that. But I was like, no. I was like, the way I dress shouldn't tell a man to like approach me because I have a shoulder showing or I'm wearing shorts. Like I didn't tell anyone to like put their hands on me or anything. That's me loving my skin, me showing that like I'm okay with my body and everything. And it kind of just like that's also another cause of like depression and stuff for females in poly families. It's just like it's overlooked and like or it's looked at too much. Like, oh, they show their skin so much, so that's why they act this way. They don't show their skin enough, so that's why they're this way. And I'm like, why does me having showing my skin have to do with the way I act? Like,
Yeah.
what is that? Like, and like my sisters and I, we don't have like the typical body structure of a poly person, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think they're growing up, we were always different from the other girls because we had either lighter skin, lighter hair, different facial features because we're also white and stuff. So we're mixed a lot, but those features would be looked at and like sometimes people would either be like, oh my gosh, like they think they're all that because of the way like they look, the way their body is structured. Like we're tall, I'm slim. Like I was always small growing up. My little sisters, they got the curves, they like all that. But it's hard to like live with that because the old ladies would always be like, you guys show too much, or you guys are always like trying to prove that you're pretty or something like that. And I was like, bruh, I just saw this dress, I liked it, and it fit me perfectly. So what's the issue here?
Yeah.
That's like something that like for us at least, it was always weird and different. It was just like, why are you like this? Like, why do you dress like that? Do you want like, it's like you're asking to be looked at. You're asking to be viewed as an object. Basically, you're looking for that attention with the way you dress. Yeah, that was like one of the biggest things that like, it just never sits right with me with those kinds of customs because it's like, why do I have to dress myself down? Like, why do I have to wear a t-shirt? Why do I have to wear sweats or an ear to cover myself? And like they're able to do whatever they want. Like it's not fair. And I'm like, that's not fair at all. And I'm like it's a respect thing. Like respect for yourself. I was like, me degrading myself isn't respecting myself. Does that make sense? I was like, me like lowering my standards for myself isn't respecting myself. I was like, respect for myself means me being comfortable in my own body, and that includes whether what I put on my body, like jewelry wise or clothes wise. And that's like something I had to learn, and that really was hard for me to learn. But I'm glad I did learn how to properly love myself and see what I was comfortable with and what I wasn't comfortable with. So yeah.
No, yeah, I know that's a big topic with some girls I've talked to about it. Did you grow up?
Oh, you're good.
Okay. When you grow up, did you have like a lot of body like image issues when you growing up, like as far as like self-esteem in yourself, as far as your body?
Self-esteem wise, kind of. Kind of had a standard set for myself by my mom or like my aunts and stuff because I was so small. I was skinny. I was like lengthy. I guess they would always like be like, she has like the perfect structure like for modeling or this and that. So that was like always like drilled. That was like drilled into my head that I need to stay this small. And it led to me like struggling with eating. It led to me struggling with being healthy, like always excessively working out and stuff. But I was just like, dude, what the heck? Like, if I gained a little bit of weight, I would be like, it's immediately pointed out, like, did you put on some weight? Like, you're gaining a little bit of weight. Like, are you okay and stuff? And I'm like, oh, no, I'm good. So like for me, that was like I had to stay like this physical small person, like skinny and everything. Like, and when I say skinny, like it was skinny, like unhealthy skinny. At least for me, it was unhealthy, and like I saw it was unhealthy, but everyone else saw it was like, oh, she looks nice, she looks good, she got a nice figure, blah blah blah. Like I started gaining weight like when I moved out here and stuff. But I was like, it's like good weight because it's healthy weight. And I still like know how to properly handle it. But like, it was the first time in like forever that I ever told, like no one was telling me, like was pointing out that I was gaining weight because like I wasn't surrounded by those norms and everything. And like, yeah, it gets pointed out every now and then, like over FaceTime. They're like, oh, you're looking a little bigger. And I'm like, thank you. And I'm like, thank you. I'm very glad that you're noticing that, because the old me would have been taking that and like immediately would have stuck with me. And it was always like, okay, you need to limit your eating habits. You need to work out more. You need to do this. You need to make sure that you know how to properly you eat. Like if you are going to eat, you need to eat something small, like, or else you're going to look big. So that was like, for me, it was always just, oh, I need to follow what the standard that they have for me is, not the standard of what I have for myself. So yeah, but I'm happy now. I'm good now.
No, I think that's like the conversation I hear a lot from a lot of Polynesian girls is just like, because of the culture of, and I understand that, the respect factor that, we have to dress appropriately depending on the setting, but I do believe in making sure that you feel beautiful as a person. And I just remember, like, I remember my own experience. I remember my sisters, especially when when you go to the beach, and then like in Polynesian girls, they
and
have
like
to cover.
Poly girls, they're all in gym shorts, t-shirts, and they're looking like, and they don't even want to go in the water or something like that, but they're like looking and admiring other girls in like their bathing suits and stuff. And they're like, oh, that's a cute suit, but I could never wear that because I'm not allowed to. And I'm like, why are you not allowed to feel good in your own skin?
Yeah, so and that's the thing. Like we were just talking about that topic because you said that because of that cultural that tradition that we give girls, when you don't allow girls to like dress up and feel beautiful, then they start questioning their own self-worth and their own beauty, that they're not. And of course, you add the fact that Polynesian girls were built different. They're more plus size than everybody else, because one thing we do as kids, we compare ourselves. So a lot of times, a lot of Polynesian girls, they're looking at all the other kids, they're all skinny, and then their natural body is a little bit bigger than most girls. And then you add the fact that they can't wear anything to feel beautiful like everybody else.
Yeah.
It just creates.
It's like they're limited to what the others around, what those around them see as beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so they start doubting
this
their
is
own.
Beautiful, and they'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They just go with it.
Yeah. So in every society, especially Western culture, there's especially the age of social media, the definition of beauty is what we see on social media, what we see on TV. So like the perception of what beauty is in America is like, you're supposed to be skinny, you gotta have this nice and flat body, and then we do a lot of comparison, especially at an early age, and that's why I see a lot of girls that I talk to, like they're insecure about their own bodies. And that's why I always love to see, like, when I see Polynesian models today, they're out there, elevating themselves and, being successful. It's good to see that.
It's awesome, because my little sister is a model, and like I modeled sometimes and stuff. And like I remember like receiving some backlash for like the way we were dressed as models and stuff. And I was just like, why does this matter? Like, what's wrong? Like, what? Are you not happy with the way you look? Is that what it is? That's what I started seeing it as. I'm like, oh, you must not be happy with the way you look in life. Like the way you look in general, like that just must be something that you don't like about yourself.
Yeah. For me, it's just like, sometimes I see it all the time when I'll meet Polynesian girls who are absolutely like beautiful. But they just think they're ugly. It's crazy when I see that. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, they like think they're ugly. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're not ugly. Like, you're beautiful. And then, but they just mentally, just because of how they grew up, and they can't
like
express.
They mentally tell themselves like you're ugly because they don't like what you were wearing this one day.
Exactly. All right. So it kind of sucks to see that, and that's why I'm glad we kind of spent some time, a moment for everyone out there, and of course, everybody out there watching, whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter who you are. Just let you know, we should be comfortable. We all should be beautiful and comfortable in our own skin. And like you said, we should, whatever makes you feel beautiful, hey, do you, honestly. Yeah. Because, when you feel beautiful about your own self, it just gives you more confidence to live a happy life. But if you're always worried about, if you play the comparison game, always comparing yourself to other people, it's a game that never ends. You will never find fulfillment. from always comparing yourself to other people. You just at some point in time in your life, you just gotta be comfortable being who you are. And then I feel like that once you become comfortable who you are, that's what the real beauty and glow happens about you. So
Right.
just wanted to throw it out there.
Okay, 1 second. I have to give something to my sister really quick.
Oh, go ahead. Mm.
All right, there we go.
It's all good. All right. So I do. I want to talk about some of the topics that I know we talked about earlier before in the podcast.
Yeah.
We want to spend some time on some topics that you definitely want to focus on and have a chance to talk about. I know I do want to start off with I know you brought up, you definitely want to talk about sexual assault that happens often in the Polynesian community or in your own life experience. So you might talk about that?
Yeah.
Dive into that. Yep.
Just with the sexual assault itself within the Polynesian community, I know it's a big issue in all communities, of course, but just to be specific with our community, it's usually either overlooked or swept under the rug, or they're always asking the victims, like, how do you need to prove like that they did that to you? And a lot of times they can't prove that. They don't have the ability to prove that, or they think they're lying because of the way they tell their story or the way they act. Or like, how can, like, for example, one of my coping mechanisms is laughing. It's just kind of like, because I've gotten so used to, like, I'm like, yeah, that did happen to me. That's all. Like, I'm like, anyways, like, let's move on. That's how I am and everything. And a lot of people are like that too. And so sometimes people could just take it as, like, they're lying because, like, if it's a serious matter, they would take it more seriously when talking about it. I'm like, well, you need to realize that we are revisiting something that we have buried so deep within our minds that it's hard to recollect everything because it's hard. Two, we're basically like going back into that mindset we were in when it was happening and stuff. And it's just like crazy. So I just think it's like something that needs to be looked at like crazy in our community. For me, myself, my own personal experience, at first I was like super hesitant to like talk about it like ever. The only people I opened up about it over Twitter. It was like this time last year where everyone was just like expressing like how old they were and where it happened, and that was it. It was like I was this age,
and
I was this
Twitter,
and I was like, I don't know if I want to participate in that because I was like, I don't know how it's going to react on my family and stuff. But I created it. I remember tweeting it, and I was open about it, like for the first time, like just little bit open about it. It was like, I think I was 6 or 7. I was 7. It probably started earlier than that, but I was 7. It happened in my own garage or like in my own home. I was like 8. It happened in my grandpa's garage where we lived at the time. I was 16 and it happened at a party. And I remember when I tweeted that, like, it was like, what the heck? Like, are you insane? Like, that's not like that. Why would you post that? Like, that was some of the questions I got about, like, in response from my family. And it kind of just like made me like, oh, maybe they're not ready to hear that like side of me and stuff. Like, they're not prepared to like understand that part of me and everything like that. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. But moving forward, I remember I just started like posting more about it, whether it was other people's stories, just like bringing awareness to it, just on my Instagram stories or over like Twitter or something. But I remember I fully wrote down like my story and what had happened to me, like fully in like all in my notes and everything. And I was like, and it was really hard. It took me a couple days to write because it was like, I was like, dang, I didn't know it was like unbagging all this would be that hard. And I think that was like, when I mentioned earlier, I talked to my doctor, he was like, you have trauma you have yet to unbag. And I was like, this is that trauma that I just like didn't want to acknowledge forever, because at one, I was scared of how my family would see me. I was scared people wouldn't believe me. And two, I was like, oh, I'm never going to get like a significant other because this thing has happened to me. I was completely wrong. But I had to learn that. So just starting with my sexual assault like story itself, I believe I was around 6 or 7-ish. I was really little. I believe it started happening when I was younger or anything like that, but it went on for a while, like that age, like in that younger, and like you're really little, so like you can't really collect everything from that time.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, we had like our own house and everything. Our house was like the fun house, like so our cousins were always coming over, hanging out, and like the parents would be with them and the dads would be with my dad, like they'd be like Kavaing or whatever. But one of my older family members, I'm not going to say who, because one, I just kind of removed that person from my life, and I kind of like whenever I did see them at family functions, I did like see them grow to be a better person, but you never know. But one of my older cousins always like tried to tell me to do stuff for him, like basically like force me to do something and everything like that. He took advantage of like my young self, and like I would do those things because I'm like, oh, he's my older cousin, I have to listen. That was like, of course, one of the things at a young age, like you're Tongan, you need to listen to your older family members, whether it's your brother, your sister, your older cousins, aunts, uncles, all of that. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it because he's telling me to do it. So that happened, and I was like, that was really difficult because I didn't know what had happened to me. I wasn't really sure. I was like, at a young age, I'm just like, oh, okay, like he told me to do this because he's my older cousin, and like I have to listen to him. And I didn't really fully understand what had happened to me because I'm only like 6, 7-ish. And then we lived with my grandpa for a while and everything, and I was like just getting ready to get baptized and stuff. But at the time, my dad had like his own construction company and stuff, and like he hired workers that were Mexican, and they didn't speak really good English, nothing like that, and like who knows where they were from, but they were willing to work and stuff, and they were good workers and stuff. And one of them, like he was like close with our family, and he ended up living in my grandpa's garage and stuff while we all lived like with my grandpa and everything else. But he would always like hang out around us kids and stuff. Like us kids, the garage was our playground before it was his living space, so that wasn't gonna change and everything. So I was like, oh, let's go play in the garage. So we're all playing in the garage, blah 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 and everything. And like we played this game that like we like called our own. I'm pretty sure other people played it, but we would call it like hide and go seek in the dark, and it was like hide and go scare or whatever. And so he was like playing with us, and like it's dark. Like when I tell you it's dark in the garage, like it's like dark. There's only one window and it's barely light outside. So we're all playing, like we're hiding in places and stuff. And like as like each kid starts getting found, it starts to get louder. It starts to get crazy, chaotic, because like all my cousins are in there and like all my siblings were just playing. And like he found me, and I was like, okay, whatever. Moving forward, and like I'm trying to like, but like when he found me, he like grabbed me, grabbed me, and I was like, yeah. And like I tried to get out, like no, leave me alone. Like I'm a kid. I don't know. I'm thinking we're playing a game. And then like as like I'm like trying to get away, he like started to like feel up on me and like tried to like go in my pants and like try to go under my shirt, and like I had to like kick him in order to like get out of his arms. And I immediately like I didn't go back to playing. I like ran into my room, and my parents' room. They had a bunk bed for me and my sisters, and it was like at the top. And I ran in there, and I like just went there. And I remember I wasn't sure what had happened. I was just so scared out of my mind. I was terrified. I was like, I don't think that was supposed to happen, because I'm a little older now. I'm like, I know what's right from wrong and stuff. And I'm like, I don't think that was supposed to happen and stuff like that. But like I remember like I was so scared and like I was shaking that I peed my pants and like up on the bed. And I was just like I was crying, and like it was weird for me because I was getting ready to get baptized like within the next coming week and stuff. Yeah. So I was like in my head, I'm like, am I not gonna get baptized? Like, am I not worthy to get baptized? Blah, blah, blah. And like, no 8-year-old should have to think like that at all.
Yeah.
No 8-year-old deserved to go through that. So I was like 8 years old when he like sexually assaulted me. And then just getting older, like, and stuff in high school. Like I said, I did drugs. I smoked weed, smoked alcohol, and everything like that. I did even other drugs on the side that I was supposed to be doing. I smoked crack occasionally. But there was a party that a friend group of mine, I don't really associate with any of them like that anymore. But we all went to a party. It was like a big party, and like it was like one of those mansion parties that like they have out there in our area. And they were like, we had planned to sleep over. We planned to spend the night and stuff. And so like I packed a bag and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna go sleep over at their fake house. Like, oh, it's gonna be all good. I distinctly remember like I wasn't going to drink that night because like I was like, no, like I got church in the morning. Like my mom's gonna make me go to church. Like I can't drink like and like go to church like that. But I was like, so I told myself before the party, like, no drinking, none of that. And I think a lot of times, just a side note, when I'm telling this part of the story, because this one's a little more like detailed because like it's a little hard to talk about, but a lot of times people, when I would talk to them about it, they'd be like, the first question is like, you don't remember who did that to you? And I was like, that's not the point.
Yeah.
So girls, if you're telling your truths, everything like that, don't let those questions get to you. Just move forward and everything, because you know what happened to you. They don't, because they haven't been in your shoes. But going back to the party, we got to the party where like it's cool. Like there's a bunch of people there, everything. There's a bunch of rooms and stuff, and like I know which room I'm staying in. So I like went, dropped my stuff off, and like everything. So we start partying, start having fun, blah blah blah. Just because you go to another side note, just because you go to a party, that doesn't mean you're going there to get messed up and going to get assaulted or anything like that. That's not planned ever. And I made the mistake of putting my cup down for like 1 minute. And like for me, I was always like, I know like not better not to put my cup down, but I wasn't always like, oh, like if you do put your cup down, just get a new one. I just put my cup down and I grabbed it like again. That little time where I put my cup down, that was enough time for someone to put something in my Sprite. Mind you, I wasn't drinking. I was just drinking Sprite. I was chilling. I was having fun. Yeah, I was like watching everyone have fun and stuff. But that one little time, I think about it all the time. If I didn't put my cup down, like that night would have been avoided, basically. But I was like, oh, like I'm fine, drinking my Sprite, whatever. And then like I started to feel super dizzy, super blah. I just wasn't feeling it. So I was like, I told my friend, I was like, I'm gonna go to sleep like in the room and stuff. And like as I'm walking to the room, it's so hard to like keep my eyes open, like, and like I'm falling like side to side as if I were drinking or like if I was doing those drugs. But I was like, why do I feel so sick and stuff? Like I was just confused. I was like, I didn't even drink anything. I had Sprite. And I was like, maybe, and then like I wasn't thinking like maybe someone did that. Like maybe someone put something in my drink. I wasn't thinking that then. I was just thinking like I feel gross. I feel sick. I just want to like go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I like find my room and like I like get in the room and I just like close the door. I didn't lock it. Another mistake I made. I didn't lock it, and I like just plopped on the bed, and like I like rolled over, and I was like, why do I feel like this? And like at this time, I didn't have a phone, so a lot of people were like, why didn't you call anyone like on your phone or anything? I'm like, growing up, I didn't get a phone until I was a senior in high school, so so I didn't have that like that luxury of calling someone on my phone or anything like that. But I vaguely remember that the door opened and then it closed, and then like I was like, oh, maybe it's one of my friends. Like that's cool. And like my eyes are just going like in and out and stuff. And then like I just felt like someone hovering over me, and I knew it was a male and everything like that. And I was like, what the heck is happening right? Like what's happening right now? And I was like, huh? And like my eye like shut again. I'm like going in and out. Eyes shut, like don't remember anything. Eyes open, like I remember him like physically holding me down, because I'm guessing like even though I'm like trying to move, most likely because I wouldn't just let myself lay there.
Yeah.
But like physically holding me down and stuff. And then like I just like felt like I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like happening.
Yeah.
And then my eyes went out again. And it was like, what the heck? Like I didn't remember anything. I was like eyes open, and he's like he's doing his thing to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the? And like I know he's hurting me because like he like was squeezing my arm really tight and everything like that. And the thing is, like, it's dark in the room. Yeah. Like there was like I didn't turn the light on when I came in, it was dark. So I'm like, what? And like I closed my eyes, faded out. I woke up again and he was gone. And then I just like closed my eyes and like I went back to sleep. Like nothing happened. I didn't wake up till the next day. And then I woke up, and I woke up early, and it was like I was like, what the heck? And I was like sore. I was like, why am I like, I was like, why did my body hurt? Like my head is killing me, my arms hurt. And like I look at my arms, and like they're like reddish, like bruised, like, and it looks like there's like a physical handprint on my arm. Yeah. And I was like, hell, and I'm like, and like there's a scratch on my chest and everything. I'm like, how? Like I'm in pain like everywhere. Yeah. And I stood up, like I like sat up, and I like turned to the side of the bed, and like I tried to stand up, and like the minute I got like my feet touched the floor and I like stood up, I just felt like blood like rush out of me, and I was like, and it hurt. I know it hurt, and I was just like so confused and everything like that. And it was even weirder because I went to sleep in like my party clothes, but I woke up in my pajamas. Yeah. So I was like, I don't remember getting in my pajamas. I don't remember like anything. Like I was like, and I like just was struck, and I was like watching like I could see like the blood and stuff, and I was like, holy, what's happening? Like I just didn't know what to think. I was just like so confused, and I was like in so much pain that I just didn't know what to do. And I didn't see any of my friends like in my room, and it was just me. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, and I keep calling them my friends because at the time they were my friends and stuff. But and I was just like, frick. So I left like my pajamas on. Like I went to the bathroom that was in the room, and I changed. Like I cleaned myself up, but I'm like crying because it hurts so much, and I'm like, what the frick? Is like I don't even know what happened. And I remember just like stuffing toilet paper, like just to like stop the bleeding, like just like on my like pants and stuff. And like I put my pants on and everything, and I like grabbed a hoodie from one of the closets, and I just put it on, and I was like, okay, let's go. Like, and I called an Uber home, and that was it. And I went home, and I was like, and my mom was like, we need to go to church. I was like, oh no, I'm not feeling good. Like I was like, I like just like I feel like throwing up. And she was like, okay, then you can stay home, whatever. I just remember like really like sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, put together things that you remember from the night and put things together that you don't know, like you don't remember at all. And like slowly over the time, I would have these super vivid dreams of figure over me and like hurting me. And then I think when I was like 17, like I was like, holy, like we were learning about like sexual assault and rape in school, and I was like, holy shit, I was raped. I was like, I was like, that's what happened to me at 16 years old. And another thing, like, it was just like, well, that wasn't supposed to happen to me. I'm like, that's not supposed to happen to anyone. But like, for me, I was like, I never thought that would happen to me. Like I and for a long time, I told myself like, no, it's my fault. I put myself in that situation. I went to the party. I did this, even though I told myself I was going to drink. Something happened anyways. And like for a really long time, I blamed myself. And I think a lot of victims do. And everything after it happens, because they're like, there's so much I could have done to avoid that. So much I could have done to just like leave the party or something like that. And a lot of people will probably watch this and they'll be like, oh, we got another one like telling her story, but nothing adds up. And I'm like, well, it doesn't add up to me either because I wasn't conscious for most of it. I was like, to this day, I still have no idea who did it to me. I just know that they went to one of the high schools that were in my district. That party like had kids from every single high school in my district, and whether it was the high school I went to at the time, whether it was Rancho, whether it was at Awanda or Alta Loma, Osos, there were different kids there, everything. But that happened to me, and I was just like, oh, that's damaging. Like, I'm just, I don't know what this is gonna do to me. It brought me down to a really low point in my life where I was just like, I don't want to do anything with my life. I was like, that was taken from me. And the boyfriend I had at that time, the one I had for that 2.5 years, he doesn't know that this happened to me. But like, I feel like every now and then I feel bad that he thinks that like he was the one to like take that holy part of me, but in reality he wasn't. Someone else did. Like, they took that like violently and painfully. And I was just, and like it's weird because of how sexual assault works and how it affects your mind. One, it heightens like everything because like you've had that like someone has been inside you, you have that heightened sexuality and everything like that. And so it was really hard to like just like express myself in a loving way anymore. It made me want to do drugs even more. So I started drinking even more, and I basically became like a closeted alcoholic, and I like basically became a drug addict and everything almost. I wasn't addicted. I just built those super duper habits. But I was literally just trying to find anything I can to fill what he took from me. And I was like, whether that was drinking alcohol, smoking weed, smoking crack, occasionally I did ecstasy, but I did shrooms once, but that was like way later. But like, I wouldn't want to try any of those things if I didn't think like, oh, maybe this will help, like, make me feel even more numb than I am now. And I'm like, so let's try this. And so like, I had lots of plugs and everything, and I ended up becoming a plug, and no one really knows that and stuff because I refused to sell to anyone that knew me or my family, in a sense, and that was basically my entire area. So I was always doing that for other people, but I was like, dang, this guy took so much from me, and I was like, and I, in return, instead of me like moving forward and growing, I just let myself decline and like go lower and lower and fall deeper and deeper into like my mental health, like my horrible mental health. And so with like telling my story and everything, this is like the first time I'll be telling it like publicly and everything like that. But I remember when I wrote it down, I sent it to all my family members, and I told like my siblings, my immediate family and everything. And it rose a lot of questions, like, for the very first one, for when I was sexually assaulted and taken advantage of by the family member in my family. Who did it? Like, who I need you to tell me. I know you know who it is. I was like, yeah, I know who it is, but it doesn't matter because I don't want that person being brought back into my life. Point blank, simple. That was my answer to them. And a lot of people would probably see that as like, oh, she's lying because she doesn't want like her family to be like this. They would never do that. I'm like, that's that's a problem we have in the community.
Yeah.
You think you know someone. You don't actually know them. I was like, it's just like you can be you can be best friends with the person who hurt me, and you'll still be like, I know them. They would never do that. I'm like, well, you obviously don't know them because they did.
Yeah.
And that's just point blank simple. And it's like a lot of like people would be like, I'm so sorry, like this happened to you. Like a few people that I do know like my story fully, and I'm like, I don't look at it as a bad thing anymore. I look at it as I'm just like, yeah, it did happen to me, but I'm not gonna let it control me. It doesn't define me. Like all those incidents don't define who I am. It's not like I'm going to use that to be like, yeah, this is who I am. I was this, and that. And they're going to be like, what the heck is wrong with this girl? I'm like, I took those things and I learned how to use them to build something for myself and learn how to build happiness for myself without really recognizing them. So in a way, it was like healthy, and some people might view that as like, oh, you just like forgot because you didn't want it to be remembered. I'm like, well, yeah, I don't want to remember something that hurt me. I was like, I don't want to remember something that brought me so low in my life that I almost like took my life and almost overdosed multiple times. And it's just like a lot of it's like me being an open book. It's just like, you want to know those things. Like if you have a question about something about me, like then you can ask me and I will answer it honestly, truthfully, and to the best of my ability. There have been times where like I've expressed like my struggles with drinking or smoking or doing other bad drugs. And there were times where people have invalidated it. Like, I don't really believe you've actually done all that. Like, because I'm this and that. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Like, because you're studying the brain in psychology, whatever, you think that you know better because you think a piece of paper tells you what a person has gone through. So that's like something like that. That's damaging. It happens. But you can either choose to learn from it, like to let it bring you down, or you can choose to let it grow. Me, I choose to let it grow me and let it fuel me to be a better person. And I was just like, you know what? I know this happened to me. And when I sent it to my family, they were just like, it rose a lot of questions. I got a phone call from my mom. She was like, I want to know who did it. And I was like, I know you do, like, but I'm not gonna do that. And then I was like, you know, I'm not going to do any of this. And I was like, I'm not going to answer those questions that you think, like, who did it? I'm not going to answer those questions who you think, like, was it this person? Was it this person? I'm not going to answer those questions, because what good is that going to do me? What you're going to tell my aunts, you're going to tell my uncles, you're going to tell my brothers are going to what? Try to go beat this dude up because my family's crazy. I was like, my Toki side is insane. But we're very protective of our own. So if something happens to us, we want to get to the bottom of it and like find out who hurt that person in our family. Because it's like, you hurt one of us, you hurt all of us, and stuff. And like, for me, it was just like, I don't think they would react that way if they knew it was from someone in our family. And so I always like kept that to myself. And like, I know that to this day that they know that when they hear this, I know because a lot of them don't know this, but when you guys are hearing this, I don't want you guys like going raising the question about which one of the boys did this to me out of our family, because I genuinely don't think it's necessary anymore. Anything like that. I kind of just moved on from it. I'm over it. I guess you can say. You don't really get over it, but for me, I'm like, I'm over it. But it is a learning experience, and it's like it raises the question in our community, like, why is she just speaking about it now? Why didn't she take it to this person? Why didn't she take it to her parents? Why didn't she do this? And I'm like, that's not important. Why she didn't do it? I'm like, that's not everything that has happened since that moment is because of what happened in that moment, the way they act, the way they respond, the way they talk to people. It's like something happened to them, and it causes them to be very mindful and look at everything around them like 2 times what they normally would. So it's like they're always alert. They're always on top of themselves now. And it's like they're very shut off and everything. And a lot of girls and guys are like that, because this doesn't just happen to girls. I don't think like a lot of our community understands that as well.
Yeah, it happens to a lot of guys too.
They're like, this happens to girls like only. Like, that could never happen to a guy. I'm like, where did you learn that? I was like, where did you learn that? Because I was like, as a girl, I am huge on like making sure that it goes both ways. I want like both our boys and our girls to really understand that, like, yeah, it can happen to the girls, but it can happen to you too. Don't think just because you're a boy that you're always going to be the strong one. I was like, that's not how it works, because I'm pretty strong. I'm pretty like, I'm guaranteed if I weren't like drugs or anything like that. I probably could have fought it off, but at the end of the day, it happened and it made me, and I was in a weak spot. That's how I was and stuff. And it was just like, within our community, it's always swept under the rug, I feel, whether it happens to a female or a male. And whenever a poly comes forward with it, they're always looked at as well, why aren't you taking this to the authorities? Why are you bringing it to social media? A lot of times people have taken it to the authorities, but they don't understand that the authorities can't do anything when there isn't proper proof or like confessions or anything like that. A lot of times authorities will be like, well, we are going to need you to like get in a room with him or like blah, blah, blah. And we need to get him like to confess what he did to you. I'm like, if you want me to go into a room by myself talking to this guy that hurt me and try to convince him to admit that he hurt me, I don't think that's a smart way to go about it. And it's very hard and it's triggering. It's very triggering to like just see that person, like just as like see them, and it's like automatically you just like get put in that state where you were when it happened. And I'm like, oh dang, that's crazy. And a lot of people just don't understand that. Our community, especially like I wouldn't say ignorant kids and stuff, like, because there's adults and stuff that have like been like going around talking about this lately and stuff, but they don't really, they're like, oh, I don't really believe this person because the way they expressed how, the way they explained it, the way they told their story doesn't make sense. Something doesn't add up. This person is reaching out to them, and I'm like, yeah, that person is reaching out to them, but you don't understand that like what goes on behind closed doors and stuff. I was like, it's not as easy as it seems. Like the questions that people ask are like simple questions, but they're simple questions with hard answers. And it's like they're hard answers that either one can't be answered. They're questions that can't be answered, or they're questions that can hurt others. Like they're answers that can hurt others. So that's like just like one thing I want like for our community itself is to really just like stop trying to justify what happened to this person. Stop trying to find ways to figure out a different angle or anything like that. If someone tells you this person did that and other people come forward with the same person, I don't think it's a question at all that that person is a bad person. You don't need to ask any more questions. You don't need to ask any, you don't need to bring the girls or the men down for telling their story and saying they're ruining a person's life and stuff. I'm like, yeah, you know what? They're ruining a person's life now, but that person ruined their lives when they hurt them. And that's what people just don't understand, I think. And it's just, it's so frustrating. It's so annoying. And like, I know I'm probably going to get like people like saying, why didn't she cry during her story? Why didn't she feel really, she didn't seem too emotional and stuff. I'm like, their answer is, I learned how to deal with it in a healthy way to where I don't have to cry about it anymore. I don't have to cry about these things because I've accepted the fact that it happened, and I've accepted the fact that I know that person is going to get what's coming to them when this is all over. Whether it's in this lifetime or the next, they will get what's coming to them. Because I could be the only person. I was like, maybe this happened to me only. Maybe they only did this to me. But the fact is they still did it to somebody, just whether it was me or someone else. So they're always going to get something that's coming to them and stuff. But yeah, that's my story. I know it's probably a lot. You're like, what the heck?
No, I just no. First and foremost, I just want to say, man, thank you for sharing this. And I know it's probably not an easy thing to talk about, but the fact that you're sharing it out in the open, and not only for yourself, but for people out there that's going through the same experience. I just want to say I love you so much, and I just want to show them some love to you, because as you're talking, as you're sharing the experience, like what I'm thinking about myself, when only I'm just trying to feel like put myself in your shoes, but I'm just feeling myself like I'm just thinking about my own family, like my own nieces, right, my own sisters, like because like you said, a lot of these things get thrown under the rugs. I'm just thinking into my mind, like how many people I know in my family that this has happened to them, but we just never know. Like that was just my thought process, you know.
And like that's all the time. I think about it all the time. I'm like, what if this happened to like
exactly
my sisters?
exactly,
not just like my little sisters or like my older sister, but like my cousins that I call my sisters as well. I call my cousins sisters.
Exactly.
I was like, what if this has happened to them too?
You know,
and stuff.
So
and just I always think of that.
So that was going through my mind, and I was like, man, and then it just, you know, I was just thinking all these, you know, I was just like, man. And but yeah, like I just want to say thank you for sharing it, and thank you for your strength, because you know a lot of people don't know, and people don't care, but don't realize like it takes a lot for somebody to speak something about that, and put it out in the open. So I just want to say thank you so much, and mad love to you. But I do want to talk about it because, like you said, like this is something that I've seen in, you know, I do know a lot of people within only in, I do know people that have gone through it. And there has a lot of people on this show, on this podcast that came out and shared their own experience in my podcast. And, you know, the one thing, like you said, like the one thing I just realized is whenever somebody talks about rape or talks about getting molested or talks about sexual abuse, like I always see this a lot in the Polynesian community. It's always like they always are trying to. Their first reaction is like blaming them. It's never about the victim. No, it's never about the perpetrator who actually did it. It's always about them, which is crazy to me. You know, for me, it's like, you know, if somebody came up to me that to tell me that like they got raped or something happened to them. Like my first I guess I'm just common sense. I think it's common sense, but like nowadays common sense ain't so common no more. But like common sense, right? Somebody comes to you that you love and care about and they hurt. Like what? Like for me, it's like it's a natural reaction. Okay, what do I need? Like what do you need from me? You know, like you know, what do you need from me? I got you. Yep. I got your back. What do you need from me? Because like I mean, that's just for me. Like that should be like the common reaction, but the sad reality that's not the common reaction. You know, I've seen people come out before on social media, and then the first thing they do is just victim blame and shame the girls. And also, just for me, it's just disheartening to see that the lack of empathy within people. Because you know, I remember you said something like, you know, when people come out about their sexual abuse. And I've seen this a lot when in social media. Like the first questions would be, "Oh, why did you go to authorities? Why did you wait so long before you said anything?" Like all these questions are like, and I always tell people, you can't tell people how to deal with trauma because everybody
you can't tell people how to deal with the experience that they have.
That's like me telling you like how long you have to cry if your dad died or if your parents died. Okay, enough crying. That's enough. Time to move on. You know, I'm like, I can't tell.
That happen to me, actually.
Like you can't tell people how to deal with trauma, you know, and the lack of understanding or the lack of empathy, people, you know, everybody deals with it differently. You know, when something traumatic, especially at a very young age, that happens to you, you know, there's so many things that can like go in somebody's mind, and you also add like, you know, pressure, you know, self-esteem, psychological issues. There's so many things that are going into it. So like. For me, when somebody, I've seen people, and you said it best, you can't tell somebody how to do something even that never has happened to you. Like I saw all these people, you know, blaming and shaming all this, you know, and telling, "Oh, you should have came out early." You should. It's easy to tell somebody how they should have done something if you've never done it, if that never happened to you. It's easy to sit here and say, "Oh, if you got raped, you know, you should have gone to the authorities immediately. You should have done this. Yeah, easy for you to say because you've never been raped." You don't know, you know.
I'm like, and plus a lot of times when it happens, a lot of girls and guys, they don't know what to do.
Exactly.
Because they never thought it would happen.
Exactly.
I remember when it happened to me, I didn't know there was such thing as rape kits. I didn't know what any of that was. I had to learn all that in school like 2 weeks later. I was like,
nobody goes into a party like, okay, I might get raped here. Like, no, that never crosses your mind.
Yeah, that's never the mindset.
Right? Like you know, like people like, you know, and it's just so hard, just disheartening. Like I said, it's hard for me for the lack of empathy, like understanding, that people have, especially within their own community, because like, which is even worse because like for me, when I see, I always feel sad for somebody. It doesn't matter who you are. If something bad happens to you, I always feel empathy for you. But I feel more empathy when it happens to my own kind. It's just when it happens to my own blood and to my own kind. It's just a different feeling of empathy that I have because it's my own people. Because when I see you, I see my sister. Because you have Polynesian features. So like I see you as I see my own family member. So especially when I see Polynesians going through the struggle or getting hurt, I see that even though I'm not related to them, but I do see them as family because that's what I see. But yeah, and I just see I just see that as a community, and I know a lot of times like you said, it gets thrown under the rug. For some reason, we need to break out of this toxic mentality in our community that in the Polynesian culture, like I guess like family reputation or the family's reputation is more important than what that victim went through.
Yep.
For some reason, which is crazy to me. Like I've literally heard it where families are more with something where a person will get raped, and then the family finds out, and then the first thing that comes out of the mouth, like they're more worried about covering it up. They're more worried about protecting the family name. More than there's no concern about what happened to the child, because and that's the mentality a lot of families have, and which is crazy to me that like something as serious as rape, that you wouldn't even put their concern first. And I know that's a cultural thing, the reputation of the family. Nobody wants to be known as to put their business out there. But yeah, that's something we need to change. Definitely, we need to change. When you start talking about, we need to address within our own community. And I want to ask every girl out there, well, again, guys too, because like I said, guys do get abused as well. And I feel like it might be harder for guys a lot because.
Oh yeah, because they're like, oh, you're not a man.
You're not a man no more.
I'm like, just because I was like, guys, if this has happened to you, it doesn't make you any less of a man. If anything, it makes you more of a man. Because you're still here, you're fighting through that, and you still are going through like your own thing. If you haven't like talked to anyone about it, like it's okay. That doesn't make you weak. That doesn't make you a weak man. That doesn't make you any less of a man. You're still a man, more of a man than you were yesterday.
Exactly.
So that's how I see it when it comes to guys.
Yeah.
So props to all guys that like have experienced it, that are watching this, going through it. You're not alone. Like, trust me, you guys are not alone. You're not the only guy that has experienced it and stuff.
Yeah. And also just the lack of, it's funny, like, the support, right? Like when it comes to, I guess I remember you said like whenever you came out, the first thing they would do, they were asking for questions to you, right? And a lot of times I feel like people are asking questions, like they're asking questions. Like people are asking questions for you to reply instead of asking questions for understanding. The old. I guess
they're just trying to get like a reaction out of you.
Yeah, exactly. They're not asking because they want to understand and support you. They're asking to figure out, whatever reason why, to figure out if you're lying or not. I guess I'm not. Let me see if she's lying or not, right? And that's why, and I feel like because of that toxic culture within our community, that's why a lot of guys and girls do not come out. That's why a lot of girls live with, never come out with the trauma. They live with the trauma, and a lot of them never get over the trauma, and especially within a community that we don't really understand or educate our youth when it comes to mental health and dealing with depression, dealing with their feelings.
Yeah.
A lot of these feelings get bottled up. A lot of these feelings get locked up. But like you said, if a lot of the things that we go through in our early childhood, if we don't deal with them, it's gonna come out in our adulthood later in life, and sometimes it even comes out worse because it's all bottled up, and then it just all comes out at once. So I want all girls, I want all the Polynesian people that are watching this, let them know, like, I know it can be tough to put yourself out there, but just understand there are people that will support you. If nobody's going to support you, there are people that will believe your story, whether or not people don't believe you. And there will be a lot of people that, and people will still love you, contrary to belief, because especially if, that's, you might think that your whole social life is going to be forever be destroyed, because once you come out with your story, no guy will date you no more. Nobody want to marry you no more. nobody's gonna
Yeah.
take you seriously no more. You won't get a job. No, like there are just there are a lot of people that will support you. There will still be people that will still love you. And there's a lot of people that are famous and successful that they have been sexually abused. Oprah Winfrey. I don't know if you guys know her story, but Oprah was sexually abused as a child. And look at her now.
Yeah, look at her.
Look at her
She's
now.
Oprah.
Hey, Oprah, like everybody knows Oprah. Like so that's just to show you that how just because that thing happened to you does not take your worth away as a woman and your potential away in this world and what you deserve in life. Like, and I know it's hard, and I know I'm talking on a place where I'm never gone through it before, but I just want everybody to find happiness and find meaning, find their purpose, and I don't want you guys to let one incident or one bad thing happen in your life to feel like that defined you forever. Like once that happened to you, then your whole life that's it. It's over. So yeah, that's my little deep piece on it. But yeah, anything you want to just add to that, or if so finish it, add to that before we wrap that up?
That's my ending note. Don't be scared, because when you're ready, you're ready, and no one can tell you anything else. If you feel you're ready to open up about it, then you do what you got to do, and don't let anyone tell you different. That's all I gotta say. Like all the boys, girls, men, women out there that are going through trialing times with like these kinds of situations.
Yeah. And also, I guess for all the parents out there, don't pay attention who you put around your kids. I just wanted to start out there.
That is,
pay
parents.
Attention. Like, pay attention who you put
Listen
around
to
your
him
kids.
on this one.
Like, really, really pay attention, like who's around your kids. And don't always, like I think you said it best, don't always assume what somebody's capable of doing just because you're related to them.
Yeah.
You don't really know what somebody's capable of. And I guess that's one of the things I always hear a lot when something happens when it's usually a family member. There's always what they say. Oh, he can't do it. He would never do that. It's my uncle. He never do that. It's my dad. My mom, my brother. Like that would never happen with my cousin. He would never do something like that. But you just don't know. You just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we should definitely, like you said, make it more support to those that come out, and and I do understand there are different things that happen. We just gotta allow a platform for people to come out and have a safe space to come out and let justice, let everything, and let the justice system or the universe or God let everything figure out. But we should always keep it open. All right, we should always keep it open and let everything else figure out itself. But because what happens? Because if we don't leave it open, then we just categorize everybody in one group. Not to come out. Okay. All right. So but like I said again, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. And really appreciate you for sharing that, because I know that's one of the biggest things that happens. And I definitely wish, and I definitely know, I know for a fact that by you sharing this, I know for a fact you impacted somebody that's watching this. I know that deep in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I know somebody will be saved today based on what you said. And I know that for a fact. And what we're doing today, hopefully we can create a new generation. And when we have kids one day, that they don't have to go through what we're going through. And which is the main purpose. I feel like it's the main. And I know all these elders like, we shouldn't. That's taboo. We shouldn't talk about these things. And this is gonna put a bad rep on Polynesians, on Tongans. For me, it's just don't you want to provide a better?
I was like, you putting it under the rug, you saying those things is what gives us a bad look. I was like, we're seen as such open, loving, and caring people to others, but to each other, we're so hateful and judgmental.
Yeah,
and it's
evil.
I was
evil.
Like, you guys want to hold up this look to everyone, but you can't even do that to you can't even hold that standard for each other.
Yeah.
I was like, why would people want to? Why shouldn't we have these uncomfortable conversations? Why?
Yeah.
That's my biggest question. Why are you uncomfortable having this conversation? Have you gone through something similar, or I'm like, did you do something similar? I'm like, that's like me when I'm like, why is it making you uncomfortable?
Yeah,
Why are you acting weird?
yeah. It's either it's like, are you just maybe attached to something like that? I don't know, because if you've never done it, if you have a good heart and you come from a good place, then you shouldn't be uncomfortable. But
Yeah, you should be really open to it.
but if you're uncomfortable, that means like, I don't know, but it's
I'm
weird.
like, that's a little sus.
It's suspect. That little suspect right there. So, but like I said, I'm happy. I'm so glad, happy that you shared it, because like, I just want to make sure like one day we can create a next generation. They don't have to go through that. Like women and men
Yeah.
can be comfortable to come out with these things and overcome it. And we come together, we support them, we love them, appreciate them, help them overcome it, and they can keep moving on with their life to find happiness. All right. Yeah. So I guess, I think we pretty much we covered everything. I think we've pretty much got a chance to learn everything about you.
Yeah.
We talked about everything about your life. And I guess I just want to say thank you so much. I am very grateful and very thankful for this, you coming on here on this and on this show and speaking from your heart and speaking and just sharing your life experiences and for yourself, but for everybody that's watching. So I guess to end it off, one thing I always ask every guest to end off the show with, if you just share some final thoughts, some final words of wisdom, some final inspiration, empowerment, and just want to ask, after everything you've gone through in your life, and just just like I want to just clap for you. Let's give you some clap. Give you some props.
Thank you so much for having me.
Give you a shout out, because my God, like you've gone through so much, and I know you have a good heart. You're a good person, and you're a great person, and man, I just you're great. And, after everything you've gone through, but the fact that you still choose to be you and just choose to be a great person. You could have chosen another route. You could have been like pessimistic, being toxic, being angry, and blame the world. You could have and I wouldn't blame you if you would have won that route. I don't blame you. But you chose to be a better person. You chose to love yourself and seek happiness and be a great example. So I just want to give you some clap for you real quick and shout out and love, even if maybe people have not done enough. Whatever, you receive some claps, but I just want to say you deserve all the props and the recognition and the love and the blessings that God has for you. And I know you know that already. But if you can just share some final thoughts, everybody, after everything we went through, and just we can just share that, and then we can kind of close off the podcast with that. Go ahead.
Awesome. Just wanted to say to like all those who are, one, if you're breaking those curses, those generational stereotypical stuff, you're breaking all those. One, I'm really proud of you. You guys are awesome. If you're stuck in those circumstances and everything like that, you're not sure how to move about it, not sure how to go about it, just know that it does get better. I know a lot of people say that all the time, but it truly does. When it comes to your emotions, don't let your emotions take over your body and everything. Don't make emotionally based decisions. Make decisions based off of your values and everything like that. Just be yourself and learn to love others the way you love yourself and everything. And if you don't love yourself, you better start, because I love you. So yeah, I just wanted to end that on that. And just thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome. It's been so amazing. I was so happy when you reached out to me a couple months ago. Thank you so much.
All right. And everybody out there, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. And then I'm going to press stop right now, and I'm going to talk to you right after. Give me 1 second.